Jam inside Lux Ultra Lounge, Saturday, August 20th. For more details, log on to myv949.com. I see that you gon' do that thing, boy. Please believe. If not, it's gonna make it hard for you. Another set of amazing music starts now.
Yo, hello, hello, hello. Welcome to the show. It's Vital every Sunday night at 7 p.m. right here on V949 WATV. Welcome in. I am Lady Wu. The crew is in the building. Introduce yourselves, please.
Good evening. Blacks in the building, y'all.
What's up, y'all? It's Jeter.
Dave's over there. And
Fly Dave, what's happening? I'm over here trying to give my partner some cough drops.
I appreciate you. And we have special guests in studio. Go ahead and introduce yourself.
Yeah, I'm Jarrell. I'm here. I'm glad to be here. Thank you.
Absolutely.
Lady Wu.
Absolutely. So one thing for you all who are watching, the guys are going to get on. Jeter's sitting next to Black. She's going to get on when she talks, I guess. I want you to see who's in the studio. They look really nice. Really attractive people. So you'll get to see them. You won't.
That's so sweet.
I'm just trying to be better every day. Every day. What is that?
I wish I could have saw Jeter.
Yeah, that's why you need the camera. Like the people that are watching in Alaska want to see, what Birmingham looks like and who represents it. But we'll get to that. We'll get to that. It's been a busy week. A lot of things have happened in the city and around the world. We have some things that are happening in the city that you can be a part of, and I want to get to those things right now. So, Jarrell, you're in here, and you have an event coming up that is major.
We do. It's called the Ansley Renaissance Festival.
Yeah.
August 20th from 3 to 8 p.m. in the Field of Hope at 1601 Avenue K, right in front of the Metropolitan CME Church behind First Baptist in Ansley.
Okay. Awesome. Dave, what'd you say? Oh, okay. So the Field of Hope.
Yes.
And the event, the Ansley Renaissance. What is a Renaissance?
So Renaissance is about renewal.
Yeah.
It means renew, really.
Mm-hmm.
And Ansley has a history of really a history of jazz. It's a beautiful history of, aside from the state sanctioned terrorism. But, the idea is that, there was a lot of bustling activity during the time that the steel mill was here. And when the steel mill left in 71, the city began to decline. Ansley actually used to be its own spot. In 1910, it was incorporated into Birmingham. And so because that decline has, cost us a lot. It's cost us a lot in taxes,
Mm-hmm.
which support our schools and property values, in crime and victims. And so, trying to seed the atmosphere for that renewal, because the thing is that it can't be renewed from the outside in. It has to be renewed by the people who live there.
Right. So let's go there then. Ansley Renaissance. And I have a heart for Ansley because that's where I'm from. You're from
Ansley.
Where? Like, let's be clear. So you're not somebody coming in and moved back.
My daddy came out the Brickyard and lived in Prince Hall, died in Prince Hall. Well, he died in the hospital,
but was still living in Prince Hall.
Yeah. My mama is from Inglewood.
Okay.
Her family moved to Ansley. All my family's come to the Brickyard at one point or another. I had family on Avenue C and I had family in Pratt. So this is, where I'm from. Now I did have the opportunity to travel because my stepfather was in the military, but
Mm-hmm.
this has been home the whole time. And then when I got out of prison, I came back home. That's a whole nother conversation.
We got time today. You hear how the music changed. So we got time to talk about Ansley, to talk about who you are to Ansley, what your experiences have been, why you care enough to say, well, you know what? I'm going to do an event. I want to bring some life back. And I think it's been so many people that have attempted to do that. And I don't know what happens to those efforts. So give me your story and what Ansley means to you, what your role is in Ansley.
Well, what I'm doing is a redemptive redemption story for me. So, and I spent half my life growing up in a dysfunctional environment, and then the other half before I got out of prison, in prison, serving a life sentence. In 1992, I committed a homicide in Pratt City, and I got away with it. And then, but I had the experience was so traumatic for me, and I really need people to hear this, because a lot of the times that we're really quick to cast a judgment that is fair to some degree on people who commit crimes. But on the other hand, we got to understand that people are not developed in a vacuum. There are a lot of factors that go into the decisions to commit crimes, and even the extreme violence that is really, really frustrating all of us at this point. But understanding how to get there is important. So I was traumatized. How I got there, is a long story, but it made me turn myself in. And so that was that was a shock to many, many criminals, because I've been in prison before for armed robbery and escape. So I was a legitimate bad guy, but this was just too much for me. And I turned myself in and spent the next 20 and a half years trying to figure out why I was so jacked up. And in that figuring out, and this is another thing that people need to write down. Listen, if you will examine yourself, you'll understand other people. And you'll be willing to give grace to other people once you really understand you. So that's what I did. Learned about myself. I studied religion. I studied history. I studied psychology. Studied sociology. I started building programs while I was in prison, building communities while I was in prison. That's ultimately what got me out. So when I got out, it was a miracle. I knew that it just wasn't so that I could go live happily ever after.
Right.
And so I began to pursue the calling, if you will, of being a redeemer, a restorer of the breach, a healer of people. And I started with mentoring young people when I was living in Springville. And then when it came time to buy my house, I bought it in the neighborhood that had the highest number of homicides, because I felt like immersion was the only way to change things. Immerse, resource, revive. That is the math. Immerse, resource, revive. And so I started putting the neighbor back in the neighborhood it was a real small event in churches to start with in 2018. And True Love did the first one. And then we moved over to the Field of Hope, and Pastor Beatty, who's now retired, was really, really accommodating for us. And now we've got about 40K in this event. This is as big as it has ever been.
Proud of you.
We're hoping to get people out to the number, to the tune of a couple thousand people, to share the philosophy of putting the neighbor back in the neighborhood, actually what it is. We want to entertain you, but we also want to educate you. So I call it edutainment. We'll have resource organizations out there as well as vendors and so on and so forth. But the biggest thing is getting people to share time, so that we can share ideas and share willingness to invest in making those ideas a reality. I love Inslee. I believe that there's a certain type of man, particularly, that needs to be in our community. And I want to be the example of what that is. I'm not saying I'm a perfect man. I'm just saying that people that care, men that care, particularly men that care, is something that we need. And I think that we're going to need to probably share the same type of history to have the right type of compassion.
An experienced man that care. So with the experience that you have, you said you were serving a life sentence. Clearly, you ain't doing that because you're here.
Yeah. It's a miracle, right?
Yeah.
Listen, not only that, I was pardoned April 26th of this year.
That's what's up.
Yeah, 10 years ago. So it's and if I hadn't have done it did my time the way that I did it, I would not be free. I believe that this is the penultimate principle that contributes to people's success. If you can understand this, then you can win. People are the most important thing in the world. I don't care, what else you got going on. People are the most important thing in the world. And so if you invest yourself in people, right, then that's going to be a good investment always. A lot of times people think that when you do something for somebody and all of a sudden they change and they put their life on track, that you're the one that did it, that your input is the thing that did it. But the fact is that there's been a lot of work beforehand. You came and poured the water on this plant that caused it to pop.
Right.
People have been planting and watering and putting fertilizer on it way before you got there. And so we have this false sense of entitlement when it comes to, if I give you something, you're supposed to change. If I do something for you, you're supposed to change. No. What happens is this takes time, and we all just need to make a contribution to the process.
Right.
And don't be looking so much for the results. Just make the contribution to the process. It's going to happen.
Play your part.
What's happening with me.
That's what's up. That is what's up. I met you, I want to say coming out, right?
2017. No.
How you know exactly when?
Because you're such a dynamic personality that I could, you got to remember. So I was really, really green when
It's
I
like
was,
fresh out,
I
right?
was fresh. Yeah. Well, you could call it fresh out because I kept my head down for the first 4 years out of prison.
Okay.
For the most part, I got out in 2012. I founded
Okay.
my organization in 2016. Right. But, I have no skills. Remember, I had 20 years in prison. I got a 20-year work history gap. I'm a repeat violent offender, a recovering drug addict, right? So I get out. I don't have, I ain't got no place to go. I went to go to a halfway house. I couldn't get a job. So I had to start, I was forced to start a business. I had time to be mingling, right? I had to go get it. I had to go to UAB. I was a double major, psychology and
I
African
do
American
remember that.
studies. And I was I had to stay on the dean's list and the president's list so I could get a partial scholarship because I couldn't pay for that mess. I was living on student loans. You know what I'm saying? I still owe them 55. So so for those first 4.5 years, man, I was looking for buying a house. So 2017, I met you. I had just got the job with the Birmingham Violence Reduction Initiative.
I remember that.
That was where we kind of our paths crossed.
That was it.
And it's been up from there basically.
So thinking about how you've been moving and how you've seen the different things happening in the community, you are talking about Ansley, a renaissance in Ansley,
Right.
but we're hearing about things in the Magic City all across the board every day. Do you feel like, and this is an open question because we're going here later on in the show.
Sure.
Do you feel like your seeds that are being planted in Ansley are have enough reach to get outside of our community?
I think so. What we're doing now with the organization that I run now called Renew Birmingham, which is the largest sponsor for the Ansley Renaissance Festival. Now, Numa Gallery is the host, but Renew Birmingham is making an effort to create. We're creating a collective impact model. We have created a collective impact model. We're still building it out. But we intend to provide services under 5 areas.
Okay.
Housing is big. If we can convert our renters into homeowners, that's a far-reaching kind of thing. That's something that creates an opportunity for generational wealth. That's a seed that bears fruit for a long time. So from there, it's jobs, transportation, it's youth services and education, it's adult education and workforce development, and what we call community health and wellness, which includes putting the neighbor back to neighborhood, which has a specific template that teaches people how to integrate people into the community. That's the first thing, integrating new neighbors, existing neighbors, learning how to engage existing neighbors, how to engage youth. And the fourth thing is proximity investment, how to put our resources together to do the same thing that a lot of these consortiums are doing, buying up properties in these areas. Well, we could do the same thing. I could take out a home equity line of credit, and we can put if we got enough neighbors together, we can put that money together, buy up some of these properties from the land bank, for even individual. But we've got to be able to develop the trust, right? So the idea is to, again, share time, share ideas, and share willingness to invest in making those ideas a reality. That's how you change culture from the inside out.
Okay, so we're looking at changing the whole culture through wherever you are. You say right now, focusing on Ansley because Saturday there's an event, but this is a lifetime of work.
Right. So we'll do this here, and we'll measure our efficacy against the metrics of violence, crime, gun violence particularly, but blight, truancy, home ownership. So we're working to make the numbers better in all of those areas. So this is a pilot. When we do this, right now we're focused on Ansley Highlands, Wylam, and Tuxedo.
Okay.
So there's about 8 to 10,000 people in that area. We intend to touch every one of them, provide a service for every one of them, and then see what the effect of that is on those other metrics. And if we do really well, then we move around to the city. Of course, we'll have a model that's scalable and replicable.
That's what's up. So understanding that the metrics are important, and not being discouraged by not being able to see that the metrics are important. So because things are happening on a daily basis, wide scale, you'll be able to track your work and what's happening by putting these different measures in place.
Yes. So we have we bought a software called Charity Tracker. I'm not doing an ad for them, but what we'll do is we'll track every client, every service. And at the end of the year, we know what went into what, and we can determine what's the best practice based on the data.
I love that. That's important. That is so important to be able to see who, like when people say we're doing the work. Let me see.
Okay.
So to see that you are, and to see that you know how important it is to keep up with that, and to be able to say, well, look, we got numbers. We are showing you who has been helped. You know, we saved. We intervened in 2 community wars or whatever the case may be. So I'm really happy to hear that. So to kick all of this off Saturday, Field of Hope, which is down on.
So this is going to be, for those of you familiar with Inslee, First Baptist Church. We're on I think that's the north side of 20. Right behind First Baptist Church of Inslee, there's a baseball field. It's an old Negro League baseball field. Really needs to be celebrated. Nobody's curated the history. But it's right in front of Metropolitan CME Church, 1601 Avenue K in Inslee, 3 to 8 p.m. Bring your own, tent, bring your own chair. Yeah, bring your stuff, man. And a small cooler, maybe. Don't bring nothing big. We're going to turn you around.
Okay.
We want you to support the vendors that we have there. But you can, BYOB. Just don't get unruly. The police will be there.
Okay, cool. And you also have like a special guest artist. Like
yes.
Tell us about who you got.
Vivian Green.
That's what's up.
Green, yeah. And she's down with the cause. And we also have some more familiar artists. Ashley Sankey. She's Miss Inslee, Queen of Inslee. And we have Joshua David, who is a local artist, young guy coming up. He's a virtuoso. Father's Pastor Charles Davis at Restored Site in Wylam.
Okay.
And they live in Inslee. So I just wanted to hear it. He'll be the opener. So y'all come out and really show him some love. And then we have Drew Tony, who you'll recognize from being in all my events. He's a young man that I mentored, another virtuoso. He's out of Montgomery.
Okay.
And he's a gospel rapper and worshiper. So he's just really awesome. We want to give them as much exposure as we can. Love these guys. They're all making contributions to their community, which is the biggest part to me.
Awesome. So this coming Saturday, August.
I forgot to mention DJ Che.
Okay.
And Clarissa Kenty is hosting.
Awesome. So you have the community stepping up to be a part of this event, August 20th at the Field of Dreams. As you work for Field of Hope? Yeah, Field of Dreams. Oh, that was a game I watched the other night. Yes, off the movie too.
Kevin Costner.
Sorry, guys. Yes. Yeah.
Do you remember singing Emotional Roller Coaster in the cab?
Yeah.
Really loud.
Yes.
Loud out of nowhere. Absolutely nobody. Here go Boo screaming at the top of her lungs. Emotional Roller Coaster.
And then I would do Jaguar Right off the Coke commercial.
Okay.
I know what's wrong with me.
Well, she's gonna be here.
Okay, awesome. So we get to see her, but then our artists that we always hear about repping for us here in Birmingham. Shouts out to Ashley Sankey specifically. Are you looking for people to work with you on these endeavors? People from the community?
Absolutely.
Okay.
So we'll have about 15 partners that will actually functioning as a funding agent. So I'll be giving people money. Now, this is what I want people in the residency to know, the citizenry.
Okay.
I'm ready to fund your ideas, right? So we're doing house parties. I got people that I'm paying money to do house parties.
Okay.
Right? You get 25 people in your yard. Okay, I'm gonna say this on the radio so you know it's real. You can call me. 25 people in your yard. I'm gonna pay you to get those 25 people in your yard.
Okay.
I'm gonna come by, pass out some flyers, and we're gonna talk, putting the neighbor back in the neighborhood. But I'm gonna also bring the food and a big music box if I
turn
need
up.
to. Right? So come on with it.
Okay. So we do house parties all the time. So okay then. And this is citywide, or is this just in Inslee?
This is Inslee Highlands,
Bush
Tuxedo,
Hills?
and no, Inslee. I got to have these 4 neighborhoods first.
Oh, okay,
Target
okay.
a target of 8,000 people that
Okay.
I'm required by me, the CEO.
Okay.
Get to.
Okay.
So, in order to do that, if I can get that and then expand that immediately after that, I will. But this is my core focus. So, those people that are in those neighborhoods, if you got some time, I'll give you some bread. I'll put some bread in your pocket. You pay a bill, get you some gas, and we'll meet some people.
How do they reach you?
205-919-9177. Or you can reach me on the Neighborhood app or Instagram or Facebook. My name is Jarrell Jones. That's GERREL JONES. You can also send me an email at info@renewbham.org. That's GERREL at, I'm sorry, that's info at renewbham.org.
That's a lot of information.
That
Which
is a
one?
lot of
Which one do you
information.
prefer?
Prefer the email. If you'll send it at to info at BHAM. I'm sorry, RENEWBHAM
Gotcha.
info at. Come on with it.
And that'll be shared shortly. So info at renewbham.org is the way to reach Jarrell.
There you go.
Especially if you want to host a party or you want to be a part of Saturday or any
Listen,
other efforts.
And don't think about it. Just call me, man. We'll make it. If you can get 20, 25 people in there, I'm going to pay you.
Okay. All right. You all have anything in studio for Mr. Jarrell?
No, a lot of information. Kudos to you.
Yeah, for real.
Like, how old were you when you initially went to prison? Because you look pretty young now.
I was 20 the first time I got locked up for armed robbery, and then escaped shortly after that, and then
You escaped.
well, yeah, that's a long story, but
we got time tonight.
Like you have done so.
We got
much.
so much
Like
time.
you're sitting here, like how is he sitting here?
I've written a couple of books too, so. Oh, but no, I was 24.
Live a Vital Book Club as well. We'll
Yeah.
talk about that later too.
Okay. I was 24 that last time, so that was 20 and a half straight years. So I was 45 when I got out of prison. I've been out of prison 10 years. I just celebrated my 55th birthday. 55th birthday in 2022. Some of y'all know that this has got to be a big year, them 2 sevens.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, we're living the life, man. Living the life. Living my best life. Right
Yeah.
now,
Yeah.
okay.
All right. Once again, the final invite on this show tonight, give it to him.
Yeah, so that's the Inslee Renaissance Festival. Oh man, that sounds good. Y'all hear that?
Yeah.
The Inslee Renaissance Festival, August 20th from 3 to 8 p.m. at the Field of Hope. It's Metropolitan CME front yard. Be there.
He sound like he's supposed to be on the radio.
I do was talking to Mike. Oh no, we didn't. You want him to?
Say that way.
Yeah, he need
Let
an
me give
interview.
you some. Let me give you some music like that.
It is.
Okay, go ahead. Go ahead and say it.
Birmingham. We want to get you out to the Inslee Renaissance Festival, August 20th from 3 to 8 p.m. at 1601 Avenue K. That's the Inslee Field of Hope, Metropolitan CME Church, front yard, the backyard of Inslee First Baptist.
No talking points,
Be
just
there.
straight talent. That's what's up.
Be there.
That's what's up. Awesome.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for
Thank you.
sharing
Thank you.
just a part of your story and what pushes you to serve the community. We really appreciate it. We need more people that don't mind stepping up, stepping out, sharing their truth. Jarrell came here and said, I committed a murder. I was an escape artist. Like, oh, and I got away, right? So just to be able to tell your
Wow.
truth, I was an addict. Like you have told all of this stuff, and people can look at you and say, "Wow, so it can be done."
Yeah, and that's what we want. That's what we want people to, because hopelessness and helplessness, learned hopelessness and learned helplessness
What?
drive these communities. People don't believe that anything good can happen.
Right.
So I want to represent that for us.
And you are doing a great job at it. Keep up the good work. Saturday, y'all get out, enjoy the event, enjoy the season. In about 39 days, it'll be fall. The weather's kind of showing some signs of
So
that.
excited.
So yeah, get out and
It's our
enjoy.
birthday.
Oh,
Y'all seen some fall? I ain't seen no fall.
like at
In the
night.
evening.
Yeah.
It's nice.
Leaves are
Still
And then
burning
I'd be
up.
like, but yeah. Jarrell, thanks so much. You
Thank
guys, we're
you.
going to take a break and we'll be back with more Vital. We got the stuff that's happening all around the city coming up next on V94.9 WATV.
Thank you so much for
Thank
my
you.
chocolate.
Family Counseling is here to walk you through your concerns from anxiety to HDHD
newspapers. And it reads, statement from Mayor Randall Woodfin on the curfew law. As we recover from a violent night in Birmingham, I want to remind our residents that Birmingham police are committed to public safety. We will continue to use every tool in our toolbox to protect the people. Remember, the city has a 2008 curfew law in place for those under the age of 17 during the following hours. Y'all ready for these hours?
Mhm.
During the daytime, school hours, which is 8:30 or 8 to 3, 8:30 to 3:30. Weeknights from 9 p.m. till 6 a.m. Yeah, got this right.
9 p.m. to 6 a.m. Well, you
Uh-huh.
should be in the house anyway.
Okay. Weekend and holiday nights from 11 p.m. till 6 a.m. Okay.
I see that.
We need to understand the safety of our community isn't only in the hands of the police and laws on the books. We all must play a role and take responsibility. As a community, we must learn to police ourselves and keep the peace within our own homes and neighborhoods. So we live here, we watch it, we hear it, we live it. What are your thoughts and opinions on it? There's a curfew in place. You heard the hours, which are hours that make sense. Like it makes sense.
Yeah.
Right.
You should be at home or at school or with your parents
Or
during
getting ready for school.
right 6 a.m. What? You should be at home. Anyway,
Back when I was in school, it wasn't a curfew during school hours, but it was truancy.
Mhm.
Yeah.
You had the truancy officers who would get you and take you home to your mom and them.
right.
So that's what we had.
And actually, like with you, like bringing up that the curfew was in place when we were in school, I don't remember that because I wasn't going out as a teenager. I went outside. I went to school.
Okay. So we did have
Like I wasn't just getting dropped off.
right.
You know what I'm saying? I was with my mother or my father somewhere. I wasn't just out here by myself.
And this was in high school.
Yeah.
So remember when we were in high school, there were things to do. There were things to do that were safe and legal where our parents did feel I think my parents felt okay dropping us off. We would go to the skate rink. We would go to the
movie
movies.
theater.
We would go bowling. We would go to LR Hall. We would go to other frat
Okay.
parties, sorority
Oh,
parties.
Yeah.
Showboat.
So we had stuff to do.
My mom didn't let me go to them places.
Really?
You better be
My
there.
dad was crazy. I couldn't go there.
So what did you do?
None of your business.
Okay.
No, I didn't go there.
Let
Ooh.
me play your sound effect. Hold on, because I know where she
Ooh.
was. It's okay, Dave. What were you doing during those hours? Okay, so that's not for radio. But what is right? Like
She'll
if you
be here all week, ladies and gentlemen. Tip
Okay.
the waitresses.
look, Dave, shut up. when young people aren't allowed to be social and aren't allowed to go out, they do find things to do.
They sneak out.
Yes.
Okay. So do y'all think the curfew will work?
No.
No.
If the parents
These two.
enforce it, it will work.
They
The
parents need a
parents are not
curfew.
going to enforce it. That's why it's not going to work.
Okay. Because if they were enforcing it
It's
already.
gonna
It
be
wouldn't
happening in
have
the
to be
first
a
place.
thing.
Okay. Okay.
At some point, we're going to have to hold the parents accountable or
Mm.
responsible. I believe if you start holding the parents responsible, then things will change.
Start holding the parents responsible and then things will change. Chuck, I hear you over there.
Chime in.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a law. It's been on the books for as long as me and Dave have been doing our day job. So, like,
That's what I was thinking.
this ain't new.
So,
Mm-mm.
okay.
It's older than that. It's been on the books since like 03, 04.
So how
Yeah,
come none of these
that's right.
parents are going to jail when their kids are out here
You think
fighting?
that's fair?
Yeah,
Yeah.
I do.
Hold on. So you think the parents should go to jail for their kids?
Be fined for the
Be
first
fined.
offense
I mean,
and
they are.
second,
I mean,
and
that's how it works.
but
So the
after so
violation-
many fines, like you going to jail because apparently you can't control your baby.
I don't know about that. I mean, there's a
I think you should though, Chuck. Let me tell you why. Because they kids are Thundercats. So if you can't control the Thundercats, then what do
we'll
we do?
control you.
I mean, what happens if the kid sneaks out and the parent doesn't know? You still think? I mean, it's
Let me
boot
say-
camp.
hold
Wait,
on.
let me
You
say-
asked me. Hold on. It's layers to this. So, like again, it's a misdemeanor. So you subject to for a parent. You are. I guess we talking about my job today a little bit.
Kind of, sort of, yeah.
All right. So it's a misdemeanor, right, in the city of Birmingham. So if your child gets caught up under that, you can be subject to a fine up to $500, or actually up to $6,000, but like really $500, and spend 365 days in jail. So
Okay,
But every
good.
time you open my door, front door, back door, garage door, any door, my
Window.
my alarm goes off.
your alarm goes off.
Yeah. So as a
Oh,
parent,
your alarm goes off. Like,
Yeah,
right? Like
and-
some of these people, a lot of these, I'm telling you, a lot of people that we see, they not in situations like you.
And that part I do understand. However, if you own a Thundercat, you need to own an alarm.
If you own
That's
one,
just that's what I'm
Hey,
saying.
a
If you own
Thundercat-
I like how she
Thundercat,
put
you need to
that.
own an alarm.
A Thundercat might have a Thunder Kitten. I don't know. It might be these
Okay.
Thunder Kids out here.
I'm just saying, if you own one of these things, you got to you got to fix
I'm just
it.
saying, yo. Like,
Because what's going on in the streets is ridiculous, and at some point, it has to stop.
hey, but real talk,
Whoa,
a lot-
ma'am.
What?
Please. That
I'm
laugh
just
is
because I'm
killing
kind of
me.
tickled because
Oh, I
the
can't hear
Thundercat
it.
may have a Thunder Kitten.
Might have a
and
Thunder Kitten. I
then-
don't know.
What is
That's
But
going
what
listen,
on?
happened.
but a lot of the stuff y'all talking about that happens in the city of Birmingham, it's not kids under the age of 17. It's not.
Okay.
It's older people.
Like
It really
20,
is.
18, 19, 20, 21, 24.
No, like but like the age of majority, like 19.
Yeah.
You know,
So that's why I also say that the curfew is not going to help because
it can.
I mean,
It don't.
kids
But it
over the
doesn't.
age of 19 aren't on a curfew.
Right. So the cats that, people talking about like the homicides that just happened, which is
Yes.
a weird, surreal thing.
Where on a Porto, the one
what-
at the Shell, where they ambushed
No,
the little boy.
that was the last. That
It
was the
like
last
4
one,
or
That was
right?
the
5
last
of them
one.
over the whole weekend.
Yeah,
But
that
when
was
when the
thought-
4 people got killed
In the one night.
in one night.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Like I have familiarity with one of those situations, and that cat wasn't under 17.
No, he wasn't. I saw his mugshot.
He was 30
Right.
or 31.
So first, okay, let's look at what we're on with the curfew. That the curfew is in place. It has been since
A long time.
2008. Then before
No,
that,
longer than that. We just saw.
03.
I just saw somebody with
Right.
an 03 case.
right? Like I remember it being a thing when I was in high school. So like it we weren't bothered by it because we weren't out. Like at
Right.
6
We weren't
a.m.
Thundercats.
you still sleep, and your
Under
parents
kittens.
they gotta wake me up.
Right.
Like my parents had, hey, it's time to get up. Okay, I'm getting up.
Right.
Now, you know.
5 more minutes, please.
I'm not just sneaking back in the window. I snuck somebody in on Tuesday nights at 6 when they went to Bible study.
Where your mom? Hello, Miss Amy.
But like I said,
You know she listening.
I don't think a lot of this street stuff that's happening at night is cats that are people that are under the age of 17.
Okay.
Like you got a lot of gang stuff going on. I can name them. I'm not going to. You got a lot of neighborhood.
Oh yeah, we got ain't got no beefing with everybody. I'm gonna name
You
them
got
because I know.
H2K, you got Park Boy. Like
Let's talk about it.
you got all these cats out here. So like those cats aren't necessarily under the age of 17. They're
Right.
not like 15,
And they
16.
still
wilding
30.
out.
30 again.
Yeah.
Yeah,
yeah, but
Because they got little boys
so my
running
point
under
is-
them.
I mean, I think the mayor did a good thing by reminding people that there is this
Right.
curfew ordinance, and as the parent of the child, you're the person that's facing the monetary and responsibility, and could also do time if you don't get your kid in line. I think that's a good thing, but I think that's a smaller percentage of what's probably happening out there.
So let's look at, okay, that's a smaller percentage. And then the question that is posed right now for those of you who are viewing, are the penalties tough enough for parents? I do believe that if parents are made to get involved in the, or to at least report, like if I can't pay these fines, but let me tell you, my child has had behavioral issues since they were 11 or since they were 2. I've been trying to get treatment, trying to get help. We can't, which leads us to a mental health piece. Then you look at mental health, and then I look at a poverty piece. So a lot of the things that are happening are layered. So is there truly a solution?
Let me tell you something about poverty.
Tell me something.
It's hard to see poverty when your sneakers cost $200.
Okay.
Oh my
okay.
goodness.
I'm glad
I
you
get
said
it. I
it.
understand poverty. I do. But it's hard to see it when
On the shoes your
when
kids
you
wear
got
are
on the
J's.
Vapor or you got on the J's. It's just hard for me to wrap my mind around it. Again, I know it exists, but for me, it may not be poverty, it's priority.
Right. Because those are the
Mm.
ones that stand in the
Everybody
line
ain't
waiting on
broke.
these shoes to come out.
Poverty priority over poverty. I see that on the show. Okay, so
And then too,
mm,
some of these kids or some of these people that are under age 18
Yeah.
that are out during these hours, their parents know they're out.
right.
Some of them, but in some situations, parents are so lazy that they sent them out, reading it how you want to.
Yeah, I can see that.
They got son out.
Like
to-
go
to-
outside.
to go to work. Yeah,
Yeah.
to go to work.
You know what I mean? Like, it's vital. It's just real, real people, real perspectives,
Yeah,
real
go to work.
experiences. So
Hey, but also on the flip side, some of the kids that are out, their parents are at work too, right? Like, but not that work, like real work, like not under the table work, not on the
Right.
street corner work. Like, so it's hard if you out here, if you in a I know that you talking about poverty. I got it. But if you in a situation where you working multiple jobs, you're a single parent, you working 3 jobs, one of them you got to log in at 9, you don't get off till 3.
Right.
I mean, trust your kids to be there, I guess, but like sometimes things happen. I don't know. That's not my situation, but I've heard.
But
of that.
but it is a
It
situation.
happens.
It's somebody's situation.
So that's why I have to ask the question. People say, well, we got to do something about this. We got to figure this out. And I'm like, well, I don't know that I can figure that out because it's not an issue that I'm directly impacted by. And I don't know, everything that I know to do, I would say that has been tried.
And honestly, I'm scared of your kids, so I'm not gonna say none of them.
And then I don't want
I'm
to have
bound
to
to
fight
get
you.
shot. Like,
but sometimes it's part of like the family to police the family, right? Because
Yeah.
like you just said, people always say, what are we gonna do? I don't feel like that happens. I feel like people are always like, hey, the mayor needs to do something about this. The mayor ain't your
Yeah,
your
that's
kid.
crazy.
right? And he
The
don't
mayor
have no
ain't
kids.
the parent of your kids. Like Mayor Woodfin, as far as I know, has no kids, right? He just does not. So like if your kid get in trouble, it's not his fault. Like you got to look inwards at some point in time.
Like, didn't something just go on at City Walk again?
Yeah,
we're
last
going
night
there
in
too.
front of the police.
So,
Big fight.
a
Some
brawl,
Thundercats.
a Thundercat brawl. Okay.
Yeah, it was the Thunder Kittens. I'm sorry, Chuck.
So Thunder Kitten Brawl, and I sent you all a video. I think I sent a video, I tagged you in a video where I saw one of the illegal street racers like peeling out in front of the police.
Yep.
Came back, did it again. Police were trying to go down there and turn around and come catch him.
They
You
just
too
know
slow.
they don't
You
have
can't
any
catch me.
respect. Right. That's why they do it. It's fun for them.
Why do they do that in Birmingham though? They wouldn't do it in Hoover.
Because they don't live in Hoover.
They wouldn't do it in Mount Brook.
But the thing of this,
In
that's not, and
Gardendale.
the crazy, that's not just a Birmingham thing. If you look at social media,
Mhm.
that burning out and all that stuff is
it's
all over right
Oh
now.
yeah.
But
Yeah,
I
but
think
a
right
young
now-
lady just got killed because of them out here doing that.
At the age I am, at 48, okay, we had fun back in the day, but we didn't try to push the envelope.
Right. I don't
We
want
just
to
had,
get in
we,
trouble.
you know,
I
we
don't
was-
want no problem.
we just had fun, we chill,
right.
but we didn't have social media.
Yep.
Social media makes a lot of people tougher than life or
Oh
superstar.
my
Mhm.
goodness.
They doing it for the gram, man. They doing it for the gram.
I'm just trying to see how you burn out these tires, cause tires.
Okay.
also
I
But
think-
tires.
but here's the thing. You have to think about it. How you burning out these tires is the question.
The
A lot of
vehicles are
people-
stolen.
A lot of people who I know,
Well, they're not.
They are.
a lot of people who I knew growing up at my age, you didn't have the newest car.
Right.
So when you see a 15, 16, 17-year-old, 18-year-old that's got a $40,000, $50,000, $60,000 car,
Mm-hmm.
it makes, even if they're working to get, it makes you wonder where is it coming from. So if you can afford that, tires ain't nothing.
So thinking about the idea that maybe the young ones who have the vehicles got them from their parents. Like we said, these are not just all misfit, thrown away children who don't have guardians and parents at home. These are people that we know, their children, their grandchildren.
But I would hate to think Sister Hazel is riding around in a camouflage
Yeah.
Challenger
Right.
with 32s on.
I'm not, but I got it for my grandson
Dope
for
boys in the
graduation. I got it for his graduation.
But then that goes back to parenting. If you know that you've been having issues with your child for so long, why are you getting them chargers? And they better.
That's
My
not
first
right.
car,
You need to
and I
drive.
was no bad kid. My first car was a '84 Celica, and this was in 2001.
Yeah, it's just some stuff that I'm not gonna buy for my kid. Like I'm not buying you that. What are you doing?
So I don't know that this is this might be a racial thing
Mhm.
publicly, right? Because I think this happens in Hoover, but I think when it happens in Hoover, they've paid to do it at a spot on some private property.
There
Yeah.
are spots in Birmingham that they can go to.
They
Chuck.
can, but the difference is they want to stunt.
They
They don't
do.
So again, so
Exactly.
it's not like, hey, we want to do this for the sake of doing it for ourselves, and we out here drifting, stunting amongst ourselves. We want to pull up where the public is and like stunt in front of the public.
Yep.
And I think
I
that's the
agree.
difference.
Yeah. Wow. So the organizer, if you're listening, you should probably seek somewhere where you can go and do that.
See, Jesus.
You can
Get,
see
get
it.
your Fast and Furious on.
Yeah,
it's
you-
fine.
you
But
can
like
still
do it
go
in
live.
do it in a way that's safe and like whatever. Like I'm certain there's enough space. Birmingham got enough massive parking lots that are owned by private people where y'all can pull up. Y'all can even have a crowd. You can probably charge somebody $5, $10, come watch you, blah, 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 blah. But it doesn't seem like they want to take that route.
And then even if you do that, then that poses another issue. So now you have a safe space to do these things, but is it actually a safe space depending on the crowd that shows up?
I rapped somebody the other day who partakes in this.
Mhm.
You know, their children and them as well partake in this.
Okay.
They like the idea of having a space to do it. They just think the city should pay for it.
Which is
Absolutely
crazy.
not.
What was the rationale? Why did they say that?
They said the city has skate parks for people who like to skate. The city has
Okay.
basketball courts for people who like to play basketball. Why don't you have a spot for people like to do that?
Because
I
that's
said,
a
but that's not. I
liability.
said, but that's not a recreational sport.
Right.
I like to ride bikes, so I created a bike club. I play music. I created a band. I don't think the city should have to create me a band or even an environment for me to play in.
It's
You
like
have
me
to go out-
saying
you
I
have to
love
do
to
it
take
yourself.
naps, and I
Dave,
felt the
how
city
old were-
should
how
like
old were
create
they?
like this space where I can go take naps every day. What?
Yeah.
The parent was.
Oh, so they were of age. They
Yeah.
were pretty grown because they got kids. Okay.
I mean, so
The logic behind some of this stuff, like you hear the parents talking, is like, I see where these children get
Right.
from.
The city,
Yes.
the city is responsible for two things. They're responsible to protect and serve people,
Mhm.
and then to give people basic services like trash pickup, EMS, firefighter service, whatever. That's the extent of what the city, any city, not just Birmingham, that's the extent of their responsibilities. So, like when you look at the skate park or whatever, sure, that's cool, but that was part of a big plan for World Games and probably the World Games people and ALDOT, because it's under the bridge, probably has something to do with it.
Right.
Mhm.
It's not the city's responsibility because folks want to come out and drift and burn out to like provide a spot for that. It's not their responsibility.
Go to Talladega.
Right. Hey, go to the
racetrack.
hey man, you can go out to what's the thing?
Barber
Greyhound.
Mouse of the
Sports.
Mouse.
Greyhound is it Greyhound? No, the motor speed. What's the not Barber? The Greyhound place, right? Isn't that still out there? Or
Well,
racetrack? In a
Oh,
racetrack.
And
yeah,
trustful.
You go
Uh-huh.
to a racetrack.
Birmingham
do it out
race
there.
course.
Like take your people, make your little Facebook post.
So
put it,
now that may be
put
all
it in.
right.
Is where they at though still out there? The
It
WPA.
is. That's where I get all my news from.
Oh,
Oh
the
my
researcher.
God.
I got so
The
excited.
researcher.
Okay.
Hey, so put it in that. Tell people to pull up, charge them $5 or not, whatever you want to do. But like, there's ways you can do this. It's just that City Walk is very public, very
And new.
very
Right.
public, very new, very bright, very vibrant. And so they want to pull up and do it there. Like, if y'all just want to do it for the sport, you can find a way to do that. Yeah.
I pulled up on it a couple times, and I can't say that I was like not excited by it. Like stuff like that is rather exciting to watch. But it's the idea that as soon as police pulls up, y'all scattering and nobody's really paying attention to how to get away, how to get out. And I'm like, well, I'm not
That's
gonna
why I ain't
scatter.
there yet.
And I'm not gonna scatter because I'm not doing anything. I'm looking, and I could just say, hey, I called, don't take me. But if you're watching, because these things are exciting to you, the safety piece of it, like I do think
Yeah.
about innocent bystanders, and then like if you lose control of your car and it runs into everybody, I've seen that on some videos. If
You lost like the girl who just got killed.
now she
Somebody
didn't get-
lost control of their vehicle, and whoever vehicle it hit, they got mad and started shooting at everybody,
right,
and she
instantly.
got killed.
Instantly, he did not ask questions, didn't look around. He reacted immediately, and somebody that was just watching was shot and killed. So it's so many different angles to what's happening in the community. Now, I will say this: if our young people and honestly older people too had more to do we think we would have these problems?
If it was what?
More to do.
Well, let me say this. The two things. Number one, the conversation that I was having with the person earlier.
Mhm.
One reason why I didn't get mad at them, because they found out that their child likes to do this, or
Okay.
not their child, but their child, but not young child.
Okay.
So they are an advocate for an outlet for their child. So I can't be mad at that. But what the second part of that is, people got to stop saying there is nothing to do.
Mhm.
There's
lots to
a
do.
lot to do.
Mhm.
It's just what you choose to do.
Right. What if
Be-
I don't like I don't like none of that stuff.
I don't understand how you advocate for that either, though, Dave, because it's not. I get it, but I don't get it because
Okay.
in this realm, it's not safe. So I wouldn't, even though I understand that my child likes to do that, I don't condone it because it's an
It's not
unsafe
safe.
I got you.
atmosphere.
I got you.
So let me find you something else to like.
Let's find something else to do, or we can do this, but let's find a way to do it in a safer
Gotcha.
realm.
I agree.
I ain't going out there, and you not either.
There is a lot of stuff to do.
Mhm.
Now, but you have, like I say all the time, you know my conversation. Woo. The only difference in here and 2 CDs down 20
Right.
is in down the street, 20, what is it, East? 20 East, there's a scene for everything. All you have to do is turn the corner and you'll bump into it. Here, you have to find your
find it.
scene.
Right.
Once you find it, there's stuff for everybody to do. But a lot of younger people nowadays just want to push the envelope.
Mm-hmm.
They want to push the envelope. That's with drugs. That's with I'm 48. Man, we smoked weed and stuff in college back in the day.
Right.
But that was it. It wasn't about
I'm not gonna go sit in front of the police department
and do
smoke.
it.
And then hit a bump afterwards.
And then
like
go
right in front
live
of them,
and,
right.
and see
It's-
who coming.
Social media has made people
Psycho.
super duper tough, and you are incriminating yourself every time you do this stuff. So
The Vine went away. You know, do it for the Vine.
I
The
ain't
Vine
gonna
went
do
away,
it.
right?
Right.
And then Instagram came out. What if Facebook went away?
I'd be so it went away from me already.
Right. But okay, so I want to kind of spin into that before we go to break. You can make a choice to not participate in social media. Like during the week, I'm very inactive on Facebook because it's just But what if it went away? Like this is not where you're gonna come and get your news. You're not gonna come and screenshot pictures of people and send them to your friends. You're not gonna come here and get your daily gossip. You're not going to, like whatever people use Facebook for.
It's not just Facebook though, right? Like, what if everything went away for like 45 days?
That would be
TikTok,
awesome.
Instagram, Facebook.
Read a book.
These children to go crazy.
Read. A
Not just
book.
these children. Like I remember last year, maybe like a year or two ago, Facebook had a glitch and was nobody's
was
account.
For like 24
last
hours.
year.
Remember
Yeah,
that.
like
People lost their mind.
they almost lost it.
I
'cause you
want to
couldn't
see it
post.
again.
It was
Mark,
so hilarious.
Is it Mark? Mark, if it's still you and you're listening, can we try that
Again.
again?
You mean Zuckerberg?
Yeah. Is
me
it still
call
Mark?
Call his whole name. I think so.
Zuckerberg.
Meta. I mean, it ain't Facebook no more. It's called Meta now, right?
Yeah. So
The
if
metaverse.
so if it's you, Mark, and you're listening, do that for us. I just want to see. I want people to get real.
because think about it, I'm a product of Freaknik.
Oh my
Ooh,
goodness.
all
I'm
right.
a product of
93 was the best year.
and 94 was the best year.
No, sir.
I'm-
93.
94.
Oh, good.
I'm a product of
We
Daytona.
were in fourth grade.
I'm a product of Daytona, Black Beach weekend.
Yeah.
If Facebook had been around then,
Yeah.
oh my God, it's no telling what. So I'm not mad at the kids
Uh-huh.
for having fun because we did risque stuff back then.
Yeah.
It just wasn't social media. And then if somebody did pull out a camera, we was ducking and dodging.
And then
Now-
they had to go print the pictures off and get it back. And
But nowadays, it's like I'm doing dirt.
right
a
now.
picture of me.
Yeah, right now.
That's the difference.
Instant gratification. It's about instant gratification.
Instagramification.
Instagramification.
Yes. Like, dang.
93 is the best Freaknik year, though. 94 was dope, too, though.
Oh my God, what grade I was in?
Hey, man,
Fourth.
don't do that.
I was in fourth
Okay.
grade.
Cool.
Junior, sophomore
Okay.
in college.
Hey, man,
think
we
I
just
was
got
at-
sage wisdom. That's all.
All
Elementary
right.
school.
So, if you're listening and people feel like they have a solution or they know what it's gonna take.
No, I'm sorry to interrupt you. No, they don't
What?
have a solution.
What?
No, people don't feel like they have a solution. They're always looking for somebody else to provide the solution. That's why I
Oh.
interrupted you. I'm sorry.
Oh,
But again, the mayor, the government, city
Okay.
got to. Y'all should do this. Y'all should do that because they don't have no solution. They just want to pass the buck to somebody else. So sorry for interrupting you, but
oh, it's all good.
yeah.
I mean, valid point. So if you, but that person or those people may be listening. Like Jarrell did come in tonight with something that he's doing, and now he's saying he's able to fund other people's ideas. So you think about stuff like that and what his story is. Is there somebody else that can do this work or that's doing this work that has a solution?
I wish that we could put something in place, and it might have to be like in school where you could just make young people see things outside of their city. I think that a lot of our kids, especially the inner city kids,
what I
just
talk
aren't
about.
exposed to things outside of Birmingham. So you remember, and I know they still have like Upward Bound and things of
Do
those
they?
nature. They do.
But at the same time, I got partners who I got partners who live in Atlanta who's never been outside of 285.
Yeah, I want y'all to go further than that. I mean, so Chuck, for what I mean is like I said, Upward Bound is a program that takes the kids to out of state colleges, yeah, and just just other places outside of the South. That's
Mhm.
all I mean.
Down dirty South. Okay, so we come back. We're gonna get some more of your input on this conversation. I want to keep talking about this too because exposure is a big piece of the conversation. We end up talking about this every week, and clearly it's important if it comes up. I want to know if that truly would change your mindset if I was able to get a van or a bus of people and take them somewhere for a week.
I got
and-
Can I answer that
experience.
before we-
I got my own experience.
Can I answer that before we go to break?
Yeah.
I was blessed. My father retired from the airlines.
Okay.
So I was able to go a lot of places. But back in the 80s, when I was in 88, when I got to Parker High School, shouts out to Perry Anderson and then Brenda Banks
That's my
at
neighbor.
Ansley. And because they took the choir on tour 1 week on spring break.
right.
We hit DC, we hit New York, we hit
Mhm.
Virginia. So a lot of people now that live in those cities, they never would have gotten a chance to go
If they
from
didn't participate.
from Smith, those areas.
Let me put a pin in that. Let's put a pin in that. That's big. That is so big because I just experienced that this week. Caller, just hold on for a second or give us a minute. We won't be gone long, just a few minutes. You're listening to Vital on V94.9 WATV on Sunday nights. That's what the V stands for. It stands for Vital. We'll be right back.
Yeah, but that's what I think.
U.S. Ultra Lounge, Bel Air, and Jazz City present. Win 10 grand from Jack Daniels. Make it count. Nations nationwide. 2023 for official rules visit.
We're back. V94.9 WATV on Sunday nights. The V stands for Vital. I am Lady Wu. The crew is in the building. Chuck, Fly Dave,
What's happening?
Jeter's in here with the juice, and Black is over there doing her research. So a lot of things are happening in the Magic City. Most of them are very reflective of our young people, what they need, what they don't have, what they don't appreciate, what they're exposed to is a major thing. That's a major piece of this conversation. So before we went to break, Dave was talking about how a lot of people have been able to experience the outside world because of education. Before we go there, I want to take this phone call. Caller, you're in with Vital. What's your comment or question or thought?
Hey, Woo, how y'all doing? I've been enjoying you all.
Thank you.
I was in high school back in the 80s, man.
Mm-hmm.
And before the Freak Meat came out, and I want to talk about a little bit about the police and Richard Arrington.
Come on with it.
When I was in school, you had polices everywhere. Every time you turn a corner, it was a police car.
Okay.
Now, 30 years later, it's like you can drive from Bessemer all the way to Center Point, and you don't see a car. You don't see a police car.
That's
So-
not true.
Yeah, yes, it is.
It's not.
Swing
Yeah, well, okay, you might see one day.
it. Maybe one.
Yeah, you might see one, and you really can be speeding, and it's a difference. from 85 to 2022, there's a difference with the police officer.
Mm.
So first of all, boss, you mad that ain't cops pulling you over for speeding? Like that's where it
No,
started.
I'm mad because cops are not pulling some of these reckless drivers, these young folks over for doing what they doing.
But number two, there are police on the road, but the problem is in the city of Birmingham. What happens is police get trained, they're on the force for a year plus,
Mhm.
and then Mountain Brook, Hoover, surrounding areas are able to pay trained
Okay,
police officers more, and they pull them away. So
bro,
it's just like if you were at
we
your
gotta do
job and somebody
something to
offered you
keep them in the house.
$20,000 more, you gonna say no?
We got to do something to keep them in the house
Okay.
because our kids are going crazy. We need some police officers to slow this down.
How do you feel about community policing?
I'm fine with it.
Do you police your community?
I do.
Okay.
What does
I
that
do.
look
I'll
like?
tell on you in a minute.
What does community policing look like? Like, what am I supposed to do? Go outside with my gun or write tickets or what am I doing?
No.
What do you
That's,
do? How does this go?
well, just like just the other day, I was riding down the road, and just so happened I seen the guy. Hold on, I'm getting a back. Hello?
Yeah.
Okay, I was riding down the road,
Uh-huh.
and I seen a guy laying in the gutter. He had just been shot,
Mm.
and he was hollering, called the police. They came and got him, but he wouldn't tell you who shot him.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm always ride around and call in
That's not
holes in the
community
street.
policing. That's just being a human person, like a good Samaritan.
So-
That's not.
So, Black, what do you think community policing is? What would that look like? What am I doing when I'm policing my community?
When you say policing your community, I think of neighborhood watch.
Okay.
I think of people who actually may walk the streets just to make sure, you know what I'm saying, they don't see nobody crawling in their neighbors' windows or
Okay.
whatever and stuff like that. Not just simply driving down the street. Oh, there's a body over there. I'm going to be a police officer for the moment and call the police. Like, that's not community policing. I was 8 years old and found a man in the gutter in North Birmingham, and I had my aunt call the police. Was that community policing? No.
Yeah,
That's
yes,
not
it
what
was.
that
It most
was.
definitely was. You could have easily just walked past and didn't say anything.
Okay.
So my man that's on the phone, I can't hear you, but they'll tell me. What neighborhood? You from Birmingham?
Yes, I am. Born and raised.
What part?
West End.
All right. So, and you said you went to high school in the 80s. Is that what you said?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
All
I came out of 89.
I think one of the other issues right now is like you probably grew up in one of those communities where like there was an elder or two, right? Like there was always that guy that was outside working on something that could teach kids a trade or a craft or whatever.
Yeah.
And also in that neighborhood, people knew that like, what'd you say, Aunt Hazel or whatever, or Billy Josephus, if they saw you cutting up, too far.
Who?
Billy Josephus.
That was way
Hey,
too far.
my bad. Okay, Uncle
Yeah.
Earl, whoever.
Okay.
Willie Joe, whatever. If they saw you cutting up, they had carte blanche authority to like tighten you up and then take you back to your parents.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's part of the problem that's happening right now. Like you don't have that happening.
And you most definitely right.
Man on the radio, you agree or disagree?
He agreed.
You most definitely right.
See.
I have
I will.
headphones. I brought
I-
them again, Woo.
Okay, you on point.
You're not gonna do me.
All right, let's do this right quick. Hold, please.
Did he agree?
He agreed.
I do think that's part of the issue. That's real talk.
That's still right there.
Was that Manny Fresh?
Yeah, I need it in my life.
August 20th. For more vintage, log on to amazing music starts.
Yeah, so you have to pay bills and let people know it's the top of the hour. So this is the second hour of Vital. Welcome in. We jump right back into it, just really going. And yeah, so we're back now. And Will was on the line and just kind of sharing his experience of things. And Will is one of those guys that has an opinion and he ain't scared to share it. So yes, is that if that's what community policing looks like to him, where I see something, I say something, and that's that. Cool, but like you say, it's more so walking around.
So if that's the
neighborhood
case,
watch.
we're all community policing.
We
So apparently it's
should
not
be.
working then.
Oh,
Because we drive around every day, all day, right?
What you talking about with the dead body in Norwood? That's reporting a crime. That's not community policing.
oh, I
That's
see
different.
some.
Right. I was
That's
8
after the
years
fact,
old though.
right.
So like I see it, so I'm gonna tell.
Check this out. Now, for me, this is what I remember from back in my day.
Mm-hmm.
Police, and I'm not knocking any because both of my sons are police. One in Savannah, and one in Germany. They're both
Oh.
police officers. But back in my era, we knew the police in my neighborhood because he parked on one street and walked. And he knew what time such and such came home from work, what time such and such came home from school. So if he rolled by your house at 6 and you weren't there and you're normally there at 6, he's knocking on your door like, hey man, like, is Mr. Such and such here? But nowadays, the thing of it is, a lot of times when the police does show up, it's when something has already jumped off.
Happened.
Right.
Was the police officer from your neighborhood, Dave? Like, was
He actually was.
Okay.
His daughter actually went to school with me. Yeah, he
So
was
that
from
makes
my
a
neighborhood.
difference too. So much
And he
has
went to Parkland
changed.
too, and Wilson. So.
Like so much has changed though. Like now, police are things have changed, but there was music then that talked directly to the police, like right, like we came out of an era where it was F the police, and then why that happened, why that was made. Too, I remember living down in Ansley where I remember seeing police to moving up in Ansley to Bellevue Heights where I didn't see them on the street in the neighborhood because like you move up, and when you move up a little bit, people act different.
Yeah.
We got to be real about that.
I think there are a lot of times that, like, I don't know how many police officers are on a beat anymore. So, like, the people in the neighborhood know this is Officer, if I call anybody's name, Officer Price. Use my own, whatever. So I know Officer Price gonna be here Monday, Wednesday, and Friday,
right,
like from 5 to 7, like walking the beat. Like, and I feel like that keeps the community a little bit safer because the concept to me of community policing is prevention. It's not response. So what you were talking about, Black, about seeing the body and then you went to go tell somebody, that's a response. Like the crime is, you reporting a crime. Community policing, I think, prevents the crimes from happening.
Right. But I was comparing because he said he was driving around. And
I
like, that's not what that is.
I get that. I get all of that.
But the neighborhood that I lived in before, I knew the police officers in their beats. Like I knew what day they would be driving around the block. I remember pulling up and like the police officer would be talking to my neighbor across the street. I knew the little lady, like, hey girl, and I'm going on about my business or whatever. But since I've been over in the new area, I ain't seen them unless I've heard gunshots a few minutes prior. Otherwise, I don't just see them just riding through the neighborhoods now. So I guess it just depends on where you live and if that particular neighborhood has a beat. Do all neighborhoods have like a beat?
Yeah, it depends on how the neighbors are behaving. Behavior brings about attention. If y'all chilling, we don't have to ride through and sit up and post up right here on the end of your street. But if this is an area where we know that it's high crime, we know plays being made right here on this block at this little park in the cut,
kids there right there.
We know this, or we know that this area right here is hot for whatever people that whatever. We will populate that area. But then you think about the fact that the police department is not staffed to its maximum capacity at all. Like it's actually short staffed. And I don't know that little children still say, hey, I want to be a police officer when I grow up.
I don't think nobody's designed to do that.
They don't.
I had heard
I would be concerned if I was trying to get on the police force right now and all the stuff is going on. I'd be like, wait a minute. Are you sure this is something I want to do?
Wait a minute.
But again, you go through, like I said earlier, you go through training, you there for a year and a half, and then these other the other 33 municipalities surrounding Birmingham offer you more money and it's less crime. Like, what you gonna do? You gonna say no?
I'm cool over there.
That's part of the problem with the Birmingham police force. So, like, again,
so,
not the mayor's fault, not the chief's fault. It just
whose
economics.
fault is that? Like, why can't we
get more money for them?
I guarantee. Let me tell you something. I guarantee you, if Birmingham could pay police officers $15,000 more, I guarantee you there are certain areas that would find a way to pay them $25,000.
Okay.
I guarantee you.
Mm.
And the tax it like
Yeah.
when prioritizing. Once
Yeah.
again, Courtney, like going back to what's important to a community. Is it important for us to fill the potholes? Y'all gonna complain about that, or you gonna complain about the police that are actually sitting
Well,
on
Oh,
the
I'm gonna
potholes?
complain about the
At this point, we
potholes.
too
Cause you
late,
tearing my car.
'cause-
I mean, and right, all that
So which
paving the
one-
streets.
which one
like,
first?
which people still mad about the stadium. Like they don't understand that that's going to fund the police force at some point in time. But
No,
like,
it's not, because it's not for us. That's UABs. We're not getting anything
exactly.
from that.
They don't
So-
trickle out
Ooh,
economics. Trying to tell you.
So no matter what it is that happens, somebody's arguing about it, upset about it, and it's not a solution. And it's draining and depressing. Okay. Dave.
I was about to say, well, I know we're talking since we're talking about what you said, community policing. That's what we're talking about.
Yeah,
I mean,
yeah.
Citizens on Patrol,
Yeah.
Police Academy.
Yeah.
Let me do this. Let's take it out of policing. Let's take it out of from the talking about police.
Mhm.
Let's go to schools.
Mhm.
All right. The teachers that I had, my cousins had those same teachers.
Right.
Yeah.
My aunt had those teachers in their early years. They could tell you, hey man, don't go to Miss Taylor class because she gonna do this. And Miss Taylor knew your whole family.
And a pull up after school.
And probably cool with your mom and them
Yeah,
already.
like we went to school together.
Yeah. So, but nowadays, and since we're talking about the whole community aspect of it, we don't have a lot of teachers that's in it for the long haul. They in it for the summers off, spring breaks, and all this. But at the same time, you got to think about it. If we respected the teachers,
Mhm.
we were afraid of I ain't gonna say was afraid, but I respected them. Nowadays, when you see videos, once again, we go back to social media.
Yeah.
I know some football coaches that had a couple of scuffles with some
Yeah.
some unruly, young men. Nowadays, a kid, you put it on social media, a kid walks into a classroom, slap the teacher, jump on the teacher.
For a TikTok challenge.
That's what it is. But what you had done that to Miss Taylor, who your whole family went to school under her
Absolutely
tutelage.
not.
I don't know. I almost got to fight with Bronson.
Well, see, and you tell your story.
We about to tussle.
Tell your story.
Turn like a dry
Oh yeah, we was finna tussle.
Why?
My sister.
Why?
Um,
If you want,
all I did, really seriously, my sister was younger than me, and evidently she was in some sort of altercation. And it wasn't the principal; it was the assistant principal. So when my sister came to get me, all I did was walk outside, and the lady approached me unruly. So I became defensive.
the principal.
It was the assistant principal
Okay.
at the time. So I became real unruly. Like we was gonna tussle. I was called to the office. She called my mom, and I explained my side. And the whole time, the lady telling me I was a senior at the time. She told me I wasn't gonna graduate. You're not gonna get your diploma. Whatever. So of course, when my mom got there, she my defense. So I told my mom my side, and that lady told my mama, "I ain't tell you that." She called me a liar.
So that turned you up worse.
Huh?
That turned you up worse, right?
Hold on.
You got even more upset,
She a bougie thug.
right?
you talking to?
Unruly, tussling.
Who you saying?
Hold on,
Who graduate?
Hold on. Hey,
I
but
am
no,
gonna
no,
graduate.
hold on. But let me.
What did mama believe?
Hold
Did
on,
she
hold on.
believe
Wait,
you or
hold
the
Dave,
teacher?
hold Dave, hold on. So let me go back to this. So Dave, in your example of what you talked about, you ain't finished the story. So the end of the story is kid slaps the principal, does whatever on a TikTok challenge. Kid gets disciplined. Mama come up. Mama about to fight the teacher because they think the teacher in the wrong and not the child in the wrong, right?
It can happen.
And in my case, that's not what happened.
No,
My
no, no.
mama-
Right. I was talking
Oh
about.
yeah,
right.
so my mom, she had real good sense. She heard both
Tussling.
sides of the story. But at the end of the day, my mom believed me because that's not something that I would have made up. And there were other people to bad my story up. So
We done seen some things where these like kids out here wilding out. Kid gets disciplined, sent to detention or whatever. Parent goes up to the school. They blessing out the administration because they kid is a saint.
now I have a parent like that. I do have a parent like that, and
Mhm.
I've been in that situation. My dad is a tussler. So I've been in that.
Tussling.
Yeah, he's a tussler.
He's the
Every day we
thunderhead.
tussling.
He's the
Right.
thunderkitten.
Tussle.
My daughter just told me a situation that they started school last week, so it's been school for a week. The little
Mhm.
boy showed up to class and did not have his homework.
Mhm.
The teacher called his parent on speakerphone and
Oh, it was too much.
told her what he did.
Nice.
Ninth grade. Told her what he did and my daughter said that she cussed him out
Oh yeah, see, that's my daddy.
loudly in front of everybody.
But
and
all he did was
said,
forgot the homework, right?
yeah, and I guess she was making an example of you're
Wait a
not
minute.
going to not do the
But-
work in my
But
class.
now, at the
and
same time,
she
you
said he
made.
was almost in tears.
But now you've made in today's society, you've made a ninth grader boy
Cry.
mad at you. No, like you could be in fear of your life, like getting your
Yeah.
car down. Like you blew up the spot. You put me on blast in front of
Right,
everybody.
'cause
In
I'm
front of
like,
everybody.
"Man, that was so
Now I got
uncomfortable.
a
just
whipping in
started."
front of the class in 6th grade. My mama stood me on the desk, pulled my pants and underwear down to my ankles, made me cover my private, and gave me that work.
What did you do?
Right.
Man, this
It had.
You better you
I hope it was
remember.
really bad.
yeah, I had drank a cup of courage, man. You know that they ate a bowl of bravery, and the teacher said, the teacher was like, "I'm gonna call your mama, Miss Hart." Shout out to Miss Hart. She's like, "I'm gonna call your mama," and I was like,
Dang.
"Call of it,"
Oh.
and she was like, "Oh."
Ooh,
that's what it
you
is?
got a whipper.
So by the time I knew she was coming, I'm like, I'm up here now, man. I might as well just go and make the class last.
Right, you gotta stay in character.
My mama came up there and I was like, let me get down. My mama was like, no, stay on up there. She walked in there with a switch. I was in the 6th grade. I was
You're a whole
embarrassed for
12 years old.
man. I was embarrassed for a whole year.
I know you was.
But if you do that now,
Then it prevents a senior in your same situation.
but you can't do that. You can't go into school and do that now.
Yeah, we're calling DHR.
Duh.
Unless I lock the door when I come. I don't know. Okay.
I mean, I'm
don't
just
know.
finna, all right, I'm finna check them out and take them home, and they'll be back tomorrow.
And that's what I was going to say. I ain't got to embarrass you at the school, but you already
Right.
know what it is once we get home. Don't play with me.
right.
When you walk in the door, it's going down.
Don't play with me.
I already know what
Because
happened.
I didn't have to clock out of work to come up here.
I'm
and deal
scared
with
sitting
you.
next to her now, so I'm about to go to the restroom.
Got them numbers
Shut up,
behind
babe.
it.
So the parenting piece is vital. Is that the piece that's missing? Is it the society piece where parents can't parent the way that they should because of what society is putting out? So
You
It's
got-
a bunch of pieces.
You got kids.
Okay.
It's a
You,
lot
got,
of
you got
pieces.
children having children. That's
Okay.
Thundercats
Yeah.
and Thunderkittens.
but nothing is new about that either. So
And on
what?
the-
It's different. I think it's a little bit more pervasive. If you run the numbers, children are having children at a higher clip.
We just talked about this.
You
People
gotta
our
be
age are
scared to have
grandparents.
sex. Yeah,
Yeah.
you got to be scared to have sex.
Think about that.
Yeah, don't do it. It's
Like
nasty.
we're not talking about like 18, like slavery days, because obviously that's a little bit different. But
Yeah.
there was a period of time in which adults were having kids, and like the gap between
True.
that gap has closed. It
Yeah.
is,
14, 13.
The average age that you were older than your child, especially in the Black community, especially I hate to say it, in urban areas,
Mm-hmm.
the gap is smaller.
That's the conversation I want us to be able to have comfortably, though, when we talk about.
I ain't got no kids. I'm comfortable.
But not that part of it. The urban piece, the poverty piece,
Sure.
the exposure piece, the Huxtables, the everybody hates Chris family. Like talking about these different models of Black families and how either they are absent, what those families produce. What are we producing as people who have families, who are having children, who are contributing to society? What model do we have?
But-
What model are we setting?
The urban TV shows, think about it though, have always been
The standard.
poverty based
What they were
Except for the
standard to?
Huxtables.
until you
Well,
got to
you're right.
Good Times.
Oh, they always had a hard time.
They
But
did.
that was my favorite show.
Even though
She did.
think about it,
Every episode, somebody got.
what's happening was a single mom, 2 kids. Daddy came around every now and again.
It was
I
a
don't
really
even
good show,
remember
though.
It was.
They were all good shows.
They changed it when they got to
227 was
different
good,
world
too.
and
the
2
Jeffersons, the Cosbys. The Jeffersons were rich.
But they came from poverty,
Mhm.
and it was highly talked about.
exactly.
So we move up, which is why
Moving
I
on
don't mind
up.
making that
So
statement.
I think that's the thing, though, right? So when we move up, do we reach back, or do we just
yeah,
kind of?
you ain't
You're
moving too
supposed to.
far. We moved from 12th Street and into the 44th Street and in, so we just crossed the block.
You
But-
supposed to.
Well, I moved. I ain't moved far, but I moved. I told you when I pulled up.
Yeah.
Like we went to the west side yesterday, and I just almost can't believe I grew up over here.
Like, what is this?
But
Like-
if you can reach, if you got the wherewithal to reach back and help your former community,
Yeah.
you should do that. You should. If you're able to consider doing that.
But you have to understand the amount of people that don't want to really care to move up. They don't care. They're complacent. They're fine with right where they are.
And
you
you
have
shouldn't
generations
have
and
to-
generations of people that live in the projects.
Well, there's
My grandma live here. My mama live here. My auntie live
But
here. My
what's the
cousin down
reason?
there.
But
What have
but-
I seen? What have I been exposed to?
right, and there are
Right.
also some people who might want to, but they are also they're also unable to. Like that's a component too. Like there are some people who are,
incapable, period, mental
Stuck.
health, learning deficits, all types
But
of
here's
stuff.
my thing with that though. They are stuck. And I get what you're saying, Chuck, but it's hard to believe based on the fact that a man just sat here who spent at least 30 of his years in prison, and
Sure.
now he sat here and he gave his story and it's totally different.
All right.
So it's capable.
No, I'm with you. He is pulling himself up by his bootstraps. Think about everything he said. All right, he said, all right, if you have this party, if you email me,
Yeah.
if you text me,
Yeah.
I'm going to pull up and give you some bread. Some people might not have the internet at home, so they don't even have his email address. Some people might not have the ability to be able to text people because they got a small amount of minutes on their phone. Like, I think sometimes we take a lot of that stuff for granted.
True.
We take our economic situation for granted and extrapolate that to everybody else. Like we find that out at our day job sometimes where we think it's easy for people to be like, oh, well, we'll just email you. It's like, well, I don't have internet at home and I ain't got minutes.
I don't have it on my phone, right?
I don't got it on my phone. So like, I hear you. I'm with you.
So how do we get resources to people? And I say this coming from my own, like I pull myself out the gutter, so I know what it looks like. I had good sense, so I knew what to do. So how do we make this a reality for people who don't have? Because everything you're saying that they don't have is a resource out there to make it possible.
We got to tell them. We got to. I mean, I think that's part of the vital joint, right? Like, or just you got to just. That's why I'm saying if you have it, I always feel like if you in a situation where you was in something like crazy, right, and then you left your community and you went you found a better path. I think sometimes it's incumbent upon you to go back and show people that path. Like you might go talk to 20 kids, you might only reach 2, so 18 left, but 2 moving forward.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So I don't have an answer. Like globally, I don't have no answer, but I think you can do, when I say you, I mean we, I think everybody can sort of do their part. And then like, if you touch a kid or 2, that kid might touch another kid or 2. It's like throwing the rock in the, what's the thing? Throwing the rock in the pond.
So let's look at this too. Yeah. I appreciate that. I do appreciate the fact that no matter how much work you do, you will reach somebody some kind of way. Maybe one person that reads the status or one child that sees like, oh, she from my hood. Oh, she look like that. I can do that too. It could be small, but right. They may not even be real, but it's blingy.
Maybe it's a fossil.
Right. But it's something.
Fossil was the watch to have though,
It's
for like for
something.
real.
So,
Diamonds were made out of fossils.
okay. Make it deep then. So on a daily basis, I know you all do your day jobs. We all do day jobs that we don't really say what they are. We are superheroes. So in my day job, at both of them, well, at 2 of them, one of them, I'm teaching about motivation. That's the name of the course, motivation and emotion. In this course, we are helping people, or we're discovering your why. What motivates you? So if I live in poverty, my grandma lives in poverty. My grandma got me because my mama lived in poverty and got hooked on drugs. She comes around every now and then, okay? I don't know my daddy. I think it's so-and-so, but we don't deal, okay? My auntie comes through, but she has mental illness that is not diagnosed, so she's unmedicated. Police come through every now and then because she get to fight with my grandma. My grandmother has not custody of, but like all of her grandchildren live with us, right? What else? What else is another factor in this? So transportation. She ride the bus. Grandma ride the bus. My cousin that stay with us, he trapping, so he got a car, but we don't ride in his car because he trapping. And grandma know, like, nah, y'all can't ride with him. So the rest of us walk. We go to church. The church be trying to help us, but the church is made of people from our neighborhood as well.
So the church don't really have it either.
They only have so much.
Right.
So what's my motivation?
Let me tell you what worked for me. My mom, she worked for this company. It was a nonprofit organization. It was called NCCJ. It's dissolved now, right? So, but what they did was they had this camp. It was called Anytown. And my mama made me go. I cried so hard because I did not want to go. I didn't. That was a changing point in my life, right? Because it exposed me to children who I would not have seen ever had I not gone. So it opened up my eyes to how much bigger the world was, because all I knew at that point, I was in the 9th grade. So all I knew was Raleigh, Alabama, right? I didn't see anything outside of that. That was the best thing that my mama could have ever made me do, because I chased what seemed impossible from that moment on.
So this is what I was going to say when you were talking about pulling yourself up. You was in that environment.
Mhm.
What I was going to say is, I was going to ask you if you had good people around you that had your best interest in heart and had the wherewithal to put you somewhere else with the knowledge. And it sounds like the answer is yes. Some of these kids don't.
Right.
Like,
Some
it-
parents will say, "Oh, she
Or-
said she didn't want to go, so I didn't
Yeah.
make her go."
And those are the people, like if you got like a good support, like if you just a knucklehead and like your folks trying to do everything for you, I mean, I'm trying to help you too. But the people who don't have positive influences around them, because everything you just said, somebody trapping, you know, 6 kids, Section 8, that's all they know generation. Like those are the
Yeah.
kids I'm most interested in trying to get out of that. But it's hard because there are a couple things. Like I tell people when you like go mentor kids, you can't just touch them one time and think that's it.
Right.
Mhm.
Because they don't trust you.
Mhm.
Right. There's got to be some sort of buy-in. So it's got to be like every 2 weeks or every month, or it's got to be some level of consistency so they can so you can be a presence in their life as opposed to, hey man, I'm gonna come in here and tell you something and then leave. That's talking at people, not talking with people.
Right.
Mhm.
So I don't know. It's like I think it's been far enough along now. There was a particular time and a particular show that was here, and people were talking about, hey, we want to organize and do all this other stuff. We're gonna help folks. I'm like,
Mhm.
well, do you talk to the other people who trying to do the same thing?
Oh my
Because
goodness.
because everybody want credit for what they doing. If all these people come together, it might be a little bit better and a little bit more impactful.
Mhm.
Let me tell it.
That's always been my thought. I don't want to have to reinvent the wheel only unless the wheel ain't turning. Then okay, we got to do something else. This ain't working.
And let me say this: I teach in my superhero job.
Right.
I teach a class to young men,
Uh-huh.
and then I've been blessed now to be able to teach that same class in the high school.
Mhm.
Here's the first thing I've learned. I'm on my what, 5th class?
Yeah.
I'm on like my 5th class.
Mm-hmm.
The worst thing you can tell a child nowadays when you talk to them is, back in my day we did it like this.
Oh Lord, that's awful.
Because now I don't.
They're not gonna say things.
Right.
Then I learned this too. You can't ask them a question and then give them your answer.
Oh yeah,
Mhm.
yeah. That's good. That's good.
One of the best things I've learned to do, and I got this from my dad. My dad would just come in the house. I was blessed. Like my mom and dad were together 64 years before he passed in 17. So I had great examples. My dad would come in the house and say this: "How was your day?"
Mhm.
And he don't say anything else, which is gonna become awkward in a minute, and then it's gonna make you say, "Oh yeah, it was cool." Now, if you do that to a child, especially a child that I don't live with, I'm teaching or trying to help with a life skills class, the first 3 or 4 times when I say, "Hey man, hey, what's up? How was your day?" He might not say nothing. Then he might come the third time and say, "It was good, Mr. Day."
Yeah.
I'm like, okay, now I can add a little bit more to it. By the end of our however long week the class is, he's gonna tell me so much stuff. I'm gonna be wanting him to be quiet,
Right.
Because he's comfortable.
Right.
And I've learned this, that nowadays when young men call you, "Oh, what's up, OG?
Mhm.
What's
It's
up,
respect.
What's up, Pop?" That's a level of respect, So you can't you have to learn, if you're gonna lead sheep, you gotta smell like them.
Okay.
You know what I mean? You gotta smell like the sheep. So talking with,
Huh.
it's a difference. People, like the old saying goes, people don't care how much you know until they know how much you care.
Right.
Mhm.
Right.
You know what I mean? So once you go in there and talk to these young men, my job, and he'll tell you, my job don't just stop when their class over. I've gotten phone calls, man, and these, the ones I'm talking about now, are not teenagers. These are over the age of 21.
Right. Right.
That need help, but they've never learned. Like, here, I tell you this: for any man, if you go to jail, if you're a grown adult person, male or female, if you go to jail anywhere from 2 weeks to 1 month, your whole life is going to be thrown off over a year.
Mhm.
Easy work.
Mhm.
But they don't understand that until you talk to them about that and you break it down, and they be like, "Oh man, I never looked at it like that."
Yeah, you've missed so much. I'm in two settings like that. So two totally different settings. One of them is a college campus, the other is an organization where it's for reentry and recidivism. Like every day, these are the stories, and you hear some people say, "Well, yeah, I chose the streets was just more attractive. It was just more attractive. I just like that." Others say, That's all I got. That's all I know. And the question still remains, what is your motivation? Like if I've already seen the worst, why am I continuing to do what gets me the worst? This cannot be comfortable. Like if I got out and I'm getting this chance to take these classes and, be exposed to these different people and get my record straight, why don't I want that?
So my best friend on the planet, I've known
Mhm.
him longer than I've not known him.
Okay.
Right? He always says this. If let's say that I don't want to like make it about government assistance or whatever, but like let's just say that I'm below the economic threshold, getting checks, whatever.
Mm-hmm.
All right. If I put forth some effort and get a better job, but that only increases my life like 20%,
Yeah.
would I do it? Some people are like, why would I put in this extra effort if it's only going to move the needle just so far?
So Black and I just talked about that earlier today about all of the places that are hiring and how
Oh.
they all need help, but
Everywhere got a sign.
why y'all don't want to work?
Hold on. Hold on. Mr. Johnson will tell you that at my day job, literally every day, morning and afternoon, I talk about the amount of jobs that are out there. Now, I will say this because you've seen it. When I first walk in, I say, anybody in here need a job or know somebody need a job?
Mm-hmm.
Might be one person that raised their hand. But when I go through the entire thing, at that point in
Nobody's
time,
employed.
no. Yeah, well, sometimes. But when I go through the entire spiel and tell them and break down all of the jobs I know, how much they pay them, blah, 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 it goes from one hand to like 6, 7 hands. So like sometimes it's also about the approach. Like riding around and just seeing a sign is one thing. But when you have a captive audience or whatever, like I do at my day job, and start talking about it and telling them more and more people, and there have been a bunch of people who've gotten jobs based on this thing.
Our motivation is different. If I'm riding around and I know that this gas that I'm riding on is the last gas I have for 2 weeks, I need a job.
Sure.
I'm going to walk in here.
But sure, maybe you can just go to your hood and then put your car up and you just walk around and get whatever you need. So maybe it's like, I'm straight.
My hood ain't gentrified, so it's not safe enough yet. That's what we discussed last week. That
I mean, hold on.
If
you deep in the trap, you
I
good
can't
in
walk
the
through
trap.
Kingston. Remember y'all told me that.
I
Okay.
ain't going over there.
You can't.
Remember.
We did a thing at our we keep this funny now at our day job. It was at Bout, and it was you had to start at point A
Mhm.
and make it to the end.
Was this with the district attorney?
It may have.
This was different.
I can't remember, but you started out with nothing. It put you in it.
Oh, okay.
Your start out was on some people's cards they gave you homeless. Some people's cards was house burn, abused wife, whatever, and trying to make it to the end.
Yeah.
But by the time and a job and a good life was for you at the end.
Mm-hmm.
But do you know how hard it was? I think my card was homeless. Do you know how hard it was in 2 hours for me to get a driver's license? Because those were stations set up, driver's license, clothing, so I had to get some clothing that I could put on to make myself look presentable.
And what I got to get a license, what I need.
And once you get that, by the time I left, I had just gotten a driver's license. And it made me look at the people on the street a lot different because we offer them jobs and we like, why he or she just don't want to get a job? But when I went through that little obstacle course, I was like, Jesus, if this was this hard for me in 1 hour, 2 hours, I can only imagine what it's like for them every day.
In the real world.
In the real world.
Not where people know that you're just doing this.
Because I'm going home to a shower and a bed after this. And they're going back to wherever they got their last.
Yeah, pillow or post.
That was the hardest obstacle course or game or whatever they called it, because it was a lot of people that were still at the starting line, and we had like 150 people in that room.
Okay, and it also sounds like the it's an activity we used to do, the privilege walk, where take 2 steps forward if you've ever.
That's what I did.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, like, and you look back and you see how many people are behind you for whatever reason, and how you've had the opportunity to move forward. And so I really don't like when people have been able to get that foot forward. Like, you got to know when you have that. You got to know when you've been privileged. I come from good people, right, Dave? Like, when you can say that and understand that, yeah, this is the truth. I come from good people that invested in education, that believed in buying homes, whatever you come from, that had me in church, whatever that is. You got to be able to own that part first, but then you also have to be real about it and recognize that, hey, it didn't have to be that way, and it could quickly change.
It could change.
right?
We are all one bad situation away from having some sort of mental break or whatever.
Right.
Right.
Everybody, I don't care who you are, one situation away.
Because every day I'd be like, you know what, client, you want to switch seats because I'm about to blow.
Because
Right?
baby.
But what's crazy, the craziest thing about what you just, I forgot about this, the thing Dave was talking about,
Mhm.
and like jobs, like most Def said it best. He said, why do I need ID to get ID? If I
What?
had ID, I wouldn't need ID.
Okay,
Right.
like,
Remember that?
what?
Like,
Yes.
like these small things that we take for granted that are barriers for other people. Driver's license, some sort of identification.
And that's why I said, like, so
Yeah.
what do I need to get my license? Because
Right.
you come in here like, I came to get my license. Okay, and you need another form of ID to
Right.
get your
Or
what?
something, man. It's crazy out here.
You need to go to the Social Security office and get your Social Security card.
And a birth certificate.
Well, you need to have your birth certificate, get your Social Security card.
Well, I
And
don't
you know
have
what?
it.
That's-
And
You
if
know
you want a
what?
Social Security, take time off at work. 'Cause you're gonna be
But
there
with
for a
that
minute.
attitude, you need to have that to come back
That's
and
what
get
I
this
was going
card.
to say.
Right.
I took my
What?
daughter. Well, my daughter's dad took her to get her learner's permit,
Mhm.
and she came home. She had like a mental. She might have had PTSD.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, she said the lady was rude, mama. She made me feel stupid. I asked her how she was doing, and she didn't say nothing back. I kind of wanted to go back, to see the
Right.
lady. Like,
Right,
you need
'cause
to see. Yeah, we
You,
gonna
you
have
was
to
gonna,
talk.
and you was gonna tussle
'Cause
and
I'm
get
a tussler.
and get
I'm a long
unruly.
line of tusslers.
We was gonna have to tussle because my baby, she was devastated, and she don't talk to people, so her feelings was hurting. I did
Yeah.
not
And you
like
were
it.
raising her to be respectable.
Yeah, she's
and-
nothing like me. I don't know who did it, but she's nothing like me.
Is that a good thing or where?
Yes, it's
Oh,
wonderful.
okay.
Chuck, she's nothing.
You
like
seem like a good person.
I am a good
Okay,
person.
let's
I
go
got
to
a
the
bad
phone
attitude.
line.
Okay. Shut that down.
Oh, turn your radio all the way down, please. Listen through your phone and go ahead with your comment or your question.
Hey, how y'all doing?
Hey,
Hey.
how you doing?
Doing fine. Enjoying the conversation.
Thank you.
One thing I found out at work, but I'm asking you all what y'all think. Going to the military. My son went. A lot of his friends fell by the wayside, and he's been in there 9 years now.
Okay.
Traveling the world.
Okay.
So we talking about how can we get these kids in line?
Mm-hmm.
And I think one way of getting them in line is sending them that way. Because some of them never had that
Like the structure or just a
that structure.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Okay.
So when you're talking about kids never having a father and never had that right way,
Mm-hmm.
I think that's one way to get them on the right track.
Okay. Thank you for that. So the military being an option, you want to shoot and be belligerent over here. You gonna go over there and get
Go
some
over there and get
straightening
paid for it.
and get some straightening because you're not about to play with these commanders like that. Dave, I know both of your boys did military, right?
Yeah, both of my boys are in the military. One
And,
is
and that's not because of you being interested
man,
in it, right?
no. I went to the Alabama State University.
All
I played
right.
Kappa. I marched in the band. I Freaknik, Daytona, did all that. So when they went to do it, I was
so
like,
excited about Freaknik.
man, what?
Yeah, he might have to bring one.
It was
back.
all
A
kind
vital-
of
a vital
sinister
need.
debauchery
Okay.
going on.
Sorry. Carry on, Dave.
But yeah, both of my boys are. One is Army, and the other one is Air Force.
Okay.
Air Force is in Germany. Army is in Savannah. He's no longer in the Army now. He's a police officer in
That's what's
Savannah.
up.
But I mean, the 26-year-old at one point in time he was trying to cut up in school, and he had found him a Thundercat, had found him a Thunder Kitten.
Oh my goodness gracious.
And he was just gonna live in Atlanta and not do nothing. And I told myself, you don't have that choice.
Right.
He said, why? I said, because you my child.
Okay.
You don't get to make that decision.
Mm.
Now he's married. I got my first grandchild. So he turned it around. But I had to put that. I told him, I say, man, you got to do something. You
Yeah.
have to be productive. You cannot just sit here and do nothing. So it worked out for him, but he's getting his schooling now that he's in the military.
Whatever the order is, whatever works
And my
best.
youngest son is doing the same thing, you know.
Because
So
these loans ain't no joke.
Yeah.
One time for Iva is agreeing with the caller who called in, said that's absolutely right. So those options being presented of, what options? The military, trades, or and that's something else I'm concerned about. Like, who gonna fix the air conditioner? Who gonna work on the
Right.
car? Who gonna do
trades
the
are dope.
Hey, what's crazy is
Man.
number one, Hurricane Ivan just hit me up and told me he agreed with old boy. But two things: the military.
There's a group text.
I call him Hurricane Ivan. Y'all know Ivan?
Might as well be.
Hurricane.
Yeah.
The thing about the military, the reason I can say this is I just was at a conference in Chicago, and there were some military people around, and they said that recruitment is down across the country except for in the South. The South still has the highest recruitment in the military and the armed forces, but it's also down because of a couple things. A lot of people are not meeting the minimum requirements to sign up. High school education, like a GED, nope. And they said two things: the education component of it, and also the criminal record.
The record.
Now apparently the military has eased some of like the marijuana restrictions. Like
Yeah.
if it used to be like if you've ever done it, you might be out. Then it was if you did it in the last year, you might be out. Now it's 6 months. Now it's like, hey man, so when was the last time? You might be. Was it yesterday? We good. But the thing about trade, so quickly, because this is what my sister does, people at some point in time, it used to be back in the day that JUCOs and community college were looked on favorably, right? Because you could go learn a trade, get certified in weld, and make 80 racks a year,
Right.
whatever. But then at some point in time, going to JUCO seemed like you were lesser than.
Yeah.
And there was
Like
a
you
stigma.
were stupid.
Yeah, you were dumb. You
You were
couldn't make it
slow.
in a 4-year college.
Right.
Because that's when they were pushing colleges for everybody, which ain't true. I mean, it's just
At all.
not.
Mhm.
So I think there's a stigma now against going and getting the trade because, again, you become a welder, HVAC. I tell people all the time, you get a CDL, you can make 80, 90, 100 racks a year, but people don't look at it like that.
And Jeff State is doing a free class, by the way.
Jeff State's doing a free
I
class. Hey,
kinda
the
wanna get that
Max
CDL
Transit
too.
System with Charlotte. I got her name right this time, Courtney.
Yes.
Charlotte. Not Celeste, Charlotte. So I think there is a stigma about trades, but like you said, hey, one of my friends owns a plumbing company, probably the wealthiest dude that I know in my friend circle. Shout out to Omar Harville.
Yeah, that's right.
Positive public.
I got a brother who went to prison, and when he got out, he went to Lawson, graduated, and now he's at Miles. He got his HVAC certification though. Long story short,
And he working and making
the
or
power
he
of
is going to work.
exposure.
Oh no, he working.
Yeah, making
Look,
making
oh,
money.
but
Right,
he
he
working,
working,
right?
right. But then you have people that go to 4-year institutions and they make 40 grand a year. That's not even enough to even pay back their student loan.
Man, you can drive you get forklift certified. Look, phlebotomy,
Yeah, they
CNA,
make good
all that
money.
stuff. You making good money, and those are necessary services. But people, the
They
education
talk bad
system,
about a CNA.
but everybody need one.
Right.
Everybody need one.
They talk bad about in the educational system. They talk bad about that kind of stuff, and it's like
Yeah,
everybody
it's
ain't
not
got to be a rocket scientist. Sometimes there's got to be somebody that can weld the rocket to
Right,
the
right.
rocket, the engine to the rocket.
So
like, whatever.
we have to change the stigma with everything, like this negative persona of what's good and what's bad, what's high level, what's entry level, what's promising, what's not. Like,
But that ain't what it. That's another social media.
we got to do
thing,
that,
right?
Yeah,
Right.
yeah. It's social
Because
media.
there's a meme going around that says a dope boy in a CNA is not what's couple goals.
A dope boy in the CNA. But I'm thinking about even before
What?
that, when you think about the talented 10th and higher ed, and who was able to go to college and who wasn't, who was able to complete college and who wasn't, who the teachers, teachers back in the day used to be the epitome
Yep.
of
Yeah.
excellence. Like
Yep.
if you were a teacher and you dressed up, I don't dress up to go to teach. I dress like my students. I think I have a better connection. Anyway,
But truth be told, talking about JUCOs, if you go to a 4-year college, your first 2 years are really JUCO years.
Basically.
Because it's not every college is gonna have university college.
man, what?
So by the time you finish it, you could have gone to Lawson, Jeff State, or somewhere probably for free.
And
you-
your
grades
have,
was
you
there.
already got a certificate or
Yeah.
whatever you need and associates, and you got a business.
Right.
We have to be exposed to these conversations more than just on Sunday nights. People have to have these conversations in churches, in neighborhoods, in courtrooms, in Dannon projects, in counseling centers, in doctors' offices. wherever you are with your children, you have to have conversations about what's truly vital. What's vital is not the example of being an Instagram model or a bottle girl. I've heard more
Nah.
people say they want to be bottle girls
You want to do what? You want to be a what?
and a security guard.
I mean,
Let it be a side hustle. I've had some side hustles, but you got to keep something that makes sense in the front.
but remember when we spoke about the little girl that I knew that said she wanted to work at Dollar General when she grew up?
Yeah.
Like, there are kids who just have aspirations just to do stuff like that. Like,
And you can work at Dollar General.
But
And also
okay,
own one.
please give pretense. What was the situation?
the situation was this. I was young. This was like a youth thing we were doing at church. And the youth director asked everybody, what did you want to be when you grew up? She had to have been like 10 or 11. And they were building a new Dollar General in Moody. And she said she wanted to grow up and work in the Dollar General.
What was everybody's response?
Although the kids were like, you want to work at the Dollar General? Like, you want to just work there. You don't want to be a manager there.
Or own a
Or,
franchise.
or be a nut. You want to work at the Dollar General. And to this day, like, it's sad. Her story is now very crushing. And I feel like her parents should have gotten a hold of her then to expose her to something other than just Moody, Alabama.
But if the parents don't have if the parents are incapable or underexposed or unexposed, how do I know to do that? Or
I feel like if I was underexposed, I would know to say, baby, you want to be much better than me. I want you to do more than me, or more than what I could offer you. Do more.
It's your motivation.
Want more.
Because I have two cousins who are older than me. They're in their 50s now. But we laughed at them when one of them took a job at McDonald's in the early 80s.
My daddy was a manager at the McDonald's downtown.
And when I saw her the other
it
day.
wasn't funny.
Oh, she
paid bills.
And the other day when I saw her, you know, when Calvin came out and everybody and Tyrese was singing on the bus, we was always joking. But now she's retired, put both of her children through college.
Yeah.
She's working another job as a what you call it? The person that just comes in and teaches you whatever.
Like a trainer.
Yeah. But at the same time, beautiful home, have made a beautiful life for herself. Then I have another cousin who did it at Pizza Hut back in the day. And we was like, restaurant business. But she has done the same thing. She don't have no mortgage, no car note, nothing. But when people say stuff, people always make glamorous. I want to be a doctor. I want to be a lawyer. I want to be.
Oh no,
man! You know what? Put me on the back of a garbage truck. You know how much money garbage man.
And I make it real quick. I don't have to pay nobody back.
They don't talk about stuff like that.
Go ahead, Chuck.
Number one, Public Works for the city of Birmingham. They hiring right now. They
okay.
hire people. So put your applications in. Number
Please
two,
do.
When it comes to the Dollar General thing you were talking about.
Not the warehouse, just the store.
But sometimes it's a relative concept. Like if the Dollar General is the nicest thing that kid has seen,
right?
Then that is a step up. Like for us, it might be like, well, you know, you need to strive for better. But if she live on in the back of a dirt road and her parents are like whatever, she sees this new fancy building coming up, and this Dollar General is black and gold. It's all clean.
Stop putting your hands in the air like that.
They can't. I'm talking with my hands.
Y'all can't see them.
Jazz hands. But like that might be something that's aspirational to that kid at that point in time. So I think it's all like a relative concept.
But I feel like it never changed because her as an adult now, like.
You still cool with her?
I know the situation.
You be researching her on Facebook?
Probably so.
Good.
You know what?
So, but that speaks
she still got the mentality.
That speaks to exposure.
She does still have the mentality.
Yeah,
she has children of her own that she doesn't even have custody of at this point.
Oh wow.
Like it turned a way that it shouldn't.
Well, that's different.
Well, no, man. That's all right.
So just listening to the trajectory of what people have in front of them. Like some things are expected, but when somebody beats the odds, it is applaudable. Like you beat the odds. So you either saw, God spoke to you. He moved in your spirit and told you, latch on to this person. This person is a good person.
Mm-hmm.
Tell your mama that you're going with Mr. So-and-so this weekend and go. That innate idea that I gotta be more than this. I can't just stay in this space. But from the sounds of it, all of us in studio have had examples or somebody to give us that. We didn't have to go looking for it too far. Like Courtney, you said I had enough sense to know, but then there are others who.
Well, I had enough sense. I did. My mom was great.
Yeah.
It's just life
Right.
happened, but my mom was great, right? I had her, but I also knew I don't want to be broke. I don't want to live here forever.
Right.
So you got to figure some stuff out, sus.
So okay, the motivational
Right.
factor is, hey, my motive is to get out of poverty. I don't like this. I'm not happy here. I see what can happen. I see what life can look like for me. Who do I need to find that can get me to that? Do I need to walk on Miles College campus in Fairfield? Where like, do I need to go to this place that looks like they help people and ask questions?
I mean, sometimes it just needs to be like you can look around and your surroundings are just depressing.
Oh yeah,
like,
Right,
Like that
so
today.
If she
Enough is
had that
enough.
mentality as a child,
Right.
then what's wrong with these kids who don't have the mentality of I can't live like this forever?
Let me ask you. a
Oh
question.
man.
So if you don't go, if your mom is different, and you, so I just watched Doctor Strange and the multiverse thing, right? What is happening to you in a different universe where your mom does not care enough to send you to the place that you cried about? What'd you say? In town?
It was called
Any-
Anytown.
Mhm.
Anytown,
Anytown?
Alabama. I think it still exists.
Mhm.
Okay, so she doesn't send you there. Where do you think you are? Do you think that we sitting here talking right now? Like
Oh yeah, we
rapping?
still would have been here. So I think that the exposure did something to me, but I always knew.
You think you
Yeah,
had
I
internal
always
motivation?
knew that I had to get out, and I give that to my dad. My mama taught me a lot of stuff, but my dad taught me how to hustle and beat it, and that's just kind of what it was. So if I wouldn't have made it where I was doing what I do today, I probably would have been in the streets for real. But
All right,
that's
so
neither here nor
But
so
there.
you
what?
had
hold on.
determined. You were determined to make it.
I was
though.
gonna get out either way.
Right. So that's hold on. So that's my point. There is a universe in which you are determined to make it, but you still in the streets, right? You
Yeah,
trapping?
so, okay, so let me say this.
hustling
True.
some sort of
So
way?
let me share this without incriminating myself. So
Don't talk about
before
them
God
numbers.
saved me,
Right.
that's what I'm gonna say. Before God saved me, I was in the streets.
Right.
And then Jesus said, "This is not your life."
Right.
I
But
get
that's
so
my
sick of
point.
her.
Like, you know,
And that didn't really have nothing to do with my mama or my
sure.
dad.
but it had something to do with something, right? So like
It had it.
if you
So
don't
let
have
me tell you. Okay, so let me tell you what else happened. I had children,
right.
sure, I get you on that.
Children change
and
your
from
life.
that, I knew that my life could not stay the same because I had children. So now you really got to figure something out.
Okay.
I wish I could hear this organ in the
Man,
background.
I just is there an organ happening?
I
Yes.
can't hear it. You're just so stupid.
Hey, but again, that's just one of those situations where like you shouldn't be the anomaly, but you might be the anomaly, right?
Mhm.
Like it's a certain set of circumstances that lined up in order for you to get there.
But there's
If
lots
you
of people
remove-
with the same circumstances.
Well, hold on.
Right.
If you remove you getting saved, you remove the anytime.
No, I ain't said I got saved. I said Jesus saved me. I ain't say nothing about being saved.
Well,
I'm
about,
just
about,
saying.
about what you
Oh,
did
I'm
because you're
sorry.
still a work in
Saved me.
progress.
My bad. My bad.
He's still
I ain't
working
go to
on
Hey,
hard.
let them use you.
I ain't
That's
go
fine.
to the water.
But in
Take it
essence,
to the water.
in essence, it's about the exposure and then so the environment, which is your social piece, and then that innate part of you that says, I feel this is what I know, this is what I see. Motivation is just about the desire to change.
Yeah, that's
Just
it.
period. Like it may be negative motivation. I just want to change this situation. It may not always be, you know what, I want to be great. I want to go to college. No, it may be, you know what, I'm motivated to slap the hell out of you right now.
Oh,
What motivated you to do that? The way you looked at me. Okay, so now we have a mental health crisis.
I understand. That's why you looking at me like that.
But see, that's how things happen. You can be motivated positively or negatively. We're talking about positive motivation and what that looks like from an outside source. Like from an outside source, you see 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 young people, or people that appear to be younger, right? We appear to be younger. We're talking about.
Right.
We're talking
The
about.
shade.
I'm just saying, we're not.
I'm
Thundercats.
48 and proud.
I'm not a Thundercat. So, with that being said, we go in front of young people and we just keep it 100. We just go vitally and do what we do and hope that our message resonates with them to say, you know what, they right. But when did we really start hearing those lessons and hearing, like, do you remember who came and spoke to your high school class or who was your speaker at your graduation?
No.
Right. I don't.
I don't either.
Let me say this. My 21-year-old, he lives in Ramstein, Germany. He's in the Air Force.
Okay.
He had 3 partners, right? 2 of them are at Troy University.
All right.
One of them is still kind of back where they live. You know?
Okay.
All right. So when my son comes home for the Christmas holidays for a month, they get like 30 days leave,
Mm-hmm.
and he goes down there and he kicks it with his partners for the weekend. And after the weekend is up, when he calls them the next, day, like, what are you doing? They like, nothing. So he's constantly calling them like, what are y'all doing? We just
Like
drank.
literally
We sitting,
nothing.
Chilling.
we drinking, chilling, doing that thing. So I'm keeping him in mind. I'm like, bro, you pray for them, keep them. Always pray for them. They'll do better. But do you realize that at the age you are now, you have more money than they have. You have more exposure and experience because you didn't want to go to Germany. It was just by the grace of God. Everything happens in divine order.
Mm-hmm.
His very first duty station was in Germany. So
you got to go.
You got to go. So now when I talk to you, I'm like, what are you doing for the weekend? He's like, oh man, I'm in Venezuela. I'm skiing. I'm like, how many cats can say you're doing that for the weekend? But I say this. I used to work a job in Birmingham. Won't say it. But the whole janitorial, and they had a cafeteria on site.
Okay.
The whole janitorial staff and kitchen staff were all from the same Lower Alabama spot.
Mm-hmm.
So every time somebody new came, I was like, hey, yeah, it was nice to meet you, whatever. And they say where they're from. I'm like, why is everybody from the kitchen and the janitorial staff from the same spot? Nobody else in the building is from the same spot.
Was the manager from them bringing on people that?
No, the manager was actually from a very wealthy side of Alabama. Until I went to a party they invited me to down there where they're from. And I realized that was the mindset. This is because it was an industry city.
Okay.
A plant city.
Okay.
So if you worked in the plant, then you was all right. If you made it anywhere outside of that plant, you were doing a little bit better for yourself. Now, the pay scale where I was working for this particular job, for what they were doing, it was nothing. But it was more than they would have made at the plant. They weren't ever trying to do anything else.
But
no,
the plant.
The cafeteria and janitorial services, that whole probably 13, 14 people were from down there, mobile homes, dirt road, Not knocking that, but I'm just saying they never.
That's good enough for me.
Their aspiration was that because the people who they have seen successful have worked at that job.
Is that okay?
That's what success looked like.
Is that okay?
If that's what
it's for someone else, for them.
Okay. So that's okay.
And they were making a living. It was just they never thought about doing anything else but that. That's the Dollar General.
Yeah, basically it's the warehouse, right? Like we at the warehouse, this is the goal. Just like, but you think about how a lot of us have come from people who worked at the plant.
Right.
My granddaddy, my daddy,
right.
my great granddaddy, like my
dad worked.
We thought they were rich, but they just knew how to manage their money well.
Right.
But even today, it's still the thing of young guys saying, I need to get on at the plant. It's still
Sitco.
Yeah, or US Steel or Fairfield.
Sitco hiring right now too.
Man, but you don't have no life working.
Sterilite.
You just give it on. You don't have no life.
That's what they say. You work 7 days a week, 12, 13-hour shifts. It's hard.
Make sure the shit
Cam Tech hiring.
We good.
Yeah, you definitely
Honestly,
because
I ain't it.
So
I ain't doing it.
Fast 5 right now starts right now. The Fast 5 minutes. Dave, you made a statement about the schools, and it makes me think about freshman year starting for my daughter and for other students, and going in, meeting the staff, signing up for electives and things like that. Some of the children were saying, it's our freshman year. We want to wait to get involved in stuff. And I'm like, I don't know about that. I think you should jump in and get to know people, move around, try some things out. Exposure. First thing I heard walking into the choir room was we've been invited by Miles and State to go to New York. Oh, you're gonna be in the choir. Okay.
Tell me, I want you to tell me though at the end of Carmen's 4 years, how many of those same teachers are there?
I know, right? Okay.
I put my baby in wrestling last year. That was probably one of the best things that I could have done for him. He loved it. He was a star, and I think he's gonna like it more than football.
Okay. And it's different.
Chuck will tell you, most of my son's partners, they play football. My son did. He was a cheerleader. He tumbled, and he played soccer. I had a hard time with that at first until I realized, man, do you know how many scholarships are out here for you?
Yeah.
And I had to appreciate the fact that my son was good at what he did. And I had to beg his pardon because I had a negative mindset of it.
Wrestling was hard.
You had a hood dude mindset. We don't
until I said, son, I always thought of you being on the football field, but on the field. until I started seeing these UCLA letters come in the mail
Mhm.
and these USC letters come in the mail. I was like, well, keep flipping.
Flip
You
on,
need some
son.
help.
Just remember, you can get scholarship money for tumbling and wrestling, but not for tussling.
Don't get it twisted, baby. He a tussler too. He like his mama.
Hey, also, yo,
That's why he rough.
y'all don't know Dave in the studio. Dave, the most Birmingham person I know. Dave got a Yankee fitted on. Somebody get this man a
He had it on
Birmingham
last
fitted
week,
It's
hat.
too.
nice too.
It don't matter. Get this man a Birmingham hat. BHM.
We gotta wear all design on.
Chuck got the buckwheat shirt on.
Here y'all go. Y'all was already on each other in the group. I tried
Right.
to confuse it. I tried to do it. Fast five. You got about 2 minutes left. A couple of things happened over the week. I do want to just talk about really, really quickly because I'm quite sure you will be talking about them for a long time. The primaries are coming up, and the former president's house was raided, and they found some documents. This man and took the boxes from the White House to his house, put them in the downstairs basement. They got codes in them and all types of stuff that's not supposed to be at your house, sir.
And then plead the fifth.
And you used to dog people out for not wanting to talk. What we gonna
He
do
is
with him?
next.
What's gonna happen with this guy?
We also saw Joe Biden. Let me throw that in there. He looked horrible, but okay.
He gonna get back in office is what's gonna happen. They're gonna
Who?
Trump.
Unless we say
Nah, I
that
don't
you can't
think
because
so.
you got
Nah.
documents at your home, sir.
Listen, on a local level, Randy Kelly just became the chair of the Alabama Democratic Party on a
Mhm.
local level.
On a local level, Democratic Party, I wonder if there's still strength in that party or people starting to sway to independent. We'll get deeper into that conversation as the primaries approach. I think I was just really blown away by this whole Mar-a-Lago thing. Like, bro, you took the box.
I wasn't surprised.
Raise your hand if you're surprised. Everybody.
No, I'm not surprised. But who packed
Ain't nobody
your
raising
stuff?
their hand. It's crazy.
Who packed your stuff when it was time to go?
He did.
He packed that stuff. He made everybody the servants pack everything
No,
else.
somebody
Take
packed
everybody.
that
That
stuff
stuff.
for
Take
him.
everything.
Somebody packed that up. Somebody picked it up for him.
When you leave a job, do you take the codes? Do you care to get the
You don't
computers?
take none of them people's stuff
Right.
because they walk you out.
I
with
just be out.
security.
Right.
Hey, homie, you take your stuff in a brown box.
You don't take nothing.
If you don't
they
take-
pack it up for you.
If you take
Oh,
them
you
folks
can't
stuff,
come
you're not
in.
gonna get your last check. So you leave them folks stuff.
Oh, so because he's Donald Trump, he was the president of the United States of America. Is he exempt from the law?
Nope. Clearly
He
not.
think he
No.
is.
He thinks he is. So I cannot wait to see how this is going to play out. Woo! All right, y'all. Have a good week. Be vital. Continue to check in every Sunday night at 7 p.m. We're having this conversation and conversations like this. Coming in September, we got some major changes. You'll be hearing more from the crew, from their perspective and their personalities, right here on your radio. I'll be back in the morning. Bye.
I'm out. Bye.
Well,
Very good.
bruh, that man came here and me to say, yeah, I was in jail, in prison for murder.